Hey everyone, welcome to Draft Day. Happy International Women's Month or Women's History Month. I have some really cool panelists here to talk about women directed films to celebrate women's history and celebrate women. And we have some really awesome guests, some of whom have never been on this specific show, some of whom have not been on the show in a while, some who have been on the show a lot. So I'm going to bring them on. First off, a co-host of the channel for Marvelous Movie Mondays. It is Kelsey. Kelsey, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great, Dyl. Thank you for having me. I'm glad you asked me to be a part of this all women's draft day, because if you didn't pick me, you would have gotten a very strongly worded email.
Glad to hear that. Thank you. Also joining us, she's been on a few draft days now, and she actually hosted our Harry Potter match during the subathon. It is Stacy for the purposes of today because we have a lot of K panelists. She is Casey. How you doing, Stacy?
Hello. Yes, you don't have to address me as Casey. That's fine. I just wanted my name to match with everybody else.
It's more for the image. That's why
Yes.
I also have my name starting with a K because we've got two other cool people. Cool with a K.
Cool with a K. I was gonna say.
Another person who's been on draft day before. It is Kerri. Hey, Kerri, how's it going? I think you might be muted, but hello. There we go.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Great, thank you.
Are you excited for this draft? When was the last time we had you on? Slashers, I think, or Disney voices.
Yeah,
right?
the Disney. Yeah.
Nice. Well, welcome back. And now for the first time ever on draft day, she's only made one appearance on the Dyl Pickle Movie Network. It was during our subathon when we were playing games and stuff. It is Karly making her draft day debut. Hey, Karly, what's up?
I'm good. A little tired. April's always busy for teachers, but excited to be on.
Yes. So this is obviously in celebration of, is it Women's History Month or just women?
International Women's Month, I think it is technically.
Cool. Nice.
No history. Present day women only.
But we will be looking back a little bit on history of films directed by women. That's like the topic today. We do have some subcategories that we're getting into. So let me just bring up the rules on how this draft and all drafts work. There'll be 5 rounds total, random draft order, which will be selected by the wheel. I have the wheel ready to go. And the draft is snake, meaning whoever's fifth will also have the first pick of the second round and so on and so forth. So if you're picking first overall, you're getting the first pick, the 10th pick, the 11th pick, the 20th pick, and the 21st pick, and so on. There must be 2 dramatic films drafted that are directed or co-directed by women. Some films have, women and men directing teams. You're allowed to still draft those. 2 dramatic films, 2 comedic films, then 1 genre film, which is like your action, sci-fi, horror. And there's a lot of like genre blending. So like if it's like a sci-fi film that's very funny, you can draft it into comedy if you want. Or if it's like, let's say an action film, but there's like some really good drama, you can draft in drama. We won't be too picky unless it's obvious, like, a Jane Campion film is probably not going to be in comedy, but hey, you do you. And if anyone disagrees, we can veto. We have a veto. If 3 out of the 4 other people veto, then we can overturn that pick. That's how it works. And we've had a pretty good system going on. And all the films, of course, must be directed by women. Some films that I had on my list, surprisingly, realized after the fact they were directed by men. I was like, oh, got to cross that off. So we got some really great movies to talk about, but first we got to pick our order. And remember, whoever's name it lands on will pick their place in the order for this draft. Let's get it started. All right. This is always the most scary part. And it looks like it's going to be Stacy.
Because this is the one time I'm not like, I need to go first, of course.
So where are you going to go, Stacy?
I don't know where to go because I don't know what I want to pick first. It's the one time. I couldn't have been first for any of the other ones because I was with Chad. That's why. I think I'm gonna go right in the middle. Wait, am I passing up my one opportunity to be first though? Should I go first?
It's all in your favor. Before I spin the wheel, you have to decide.
I know. No, I'll stay in the middle. I'll be right smack dab in the middle.
I hope you don't regret that. I don't think you will.
I hope I don't regret it too.
And Kelsey, where would you like to go?
I would like to. I I would be first.
Okay,
Yeah.
first.
I didn't want to have to wait for it to come back around. Was my fear of first was like.
But you're
you get the
always going to
first-
be in, yeah,
Right.
you're always going to be in the middle of every round. And it looks like it's going to be Kerri now. Kerri, would you like to go second, fourth, or fifth?
I'll go second.
Second. All right, Karly, it's me and you fighting for that last spot. This. I feel like it's an inaugural thing for a first timer to like be the last one picked. It's nope. It looks like yeah. Sorry, you're gonna be last. I'll go fourth. I'll let you have the back-to-back pick, Karly. I'm gonna go
Okay.
fourth. I don't know if I've
Very
gone
noble of you. Very feminist of you, Dyl.
thank you. Yeah, I know there's gonna be some discrepancy that like I am a man in a women's pool, but it's my channel and I'm running
It's
it.
your channel.
And I, as Kelsey knows, I am a mega feminist.
You can be an honorary girl for a couple hours.
I do want to give a shout out just before we start this draft to the last draft, which is our subathon draft that actually Chad won. Our A through Z draft.
Oh.
Chad was the victor of that draft by a pretty big margin. He had a pretty solid board. I'm not going to list off his board because it was 26 films because we had a mega size draft day. So Chad won. Kelsey, you were tied for second. We were tied for second, Kelsey. So we did well. So we're here to avenge our runner-up status.
Nice.
Just kidding. So let me just get the order straight one last time. It is Kelsey, then Kerri. I was going to put your initials, but that doesn't help since three of you have the same. Kelsey, Kerri, Stacy, Dyl, and Karly. Cool. So we got the first overall pick going with Kelsey. Kelsey, what is going to be your number one pick in this draft? The number one film directed by a woman. Take it away.
Okay. I don't think that I have to really worry about my comedies or my genre films. I think those can like range a lot maybe in this group. I feel the one that I want to score right off the bat, the one that I was worried about the most, this movie like leaving the options is one of my dramas, and it is The Edge of 17, directed by Kelly Freeman Craig.
I love that movie. I was gonna say that's like comedy and drama, but like it does have really good.
I feel like it's a drama with comedic tendencies. I agree. I feel like it could have went in either genre, in either pool, but I don't know. I feel like I just had so many more options when it came to comedy. So I was like, I don't have a lot of backups when it comes to dramas. I'm going to put it in dramas. I love this movie. It's literally like it's become a comfort movie for me ever since it came out in like 2016, I think. Somewhere along then.
16.
Yeah. It's just so well written. It's just such a brilliant performance from Haley Steinfeld. It makes sense that this movie was directed and written by a woman because you can tell that because it completely accurately captures what it feels like to be an adolescent teenage girl in high school. And it's just a really brilliant film, and it's such great dialogue. It's my favorite, so I had to take it, and I'm so glad that I was first, so I could take it.
Yeah, I love that. That was actually my number 2 in a different category, but it was like my second pick for comedies. Like I really love that movie so much. And Haley Steinfeld, you know me, Kelsey, you know I love.
I
know. And one last thing before I throw it to the rest of y'all. In late April 28th, her second movie that director is coming out. It's called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, starring Rachel McAdams. And some other great actresses. So yeah, that's gonna be really exciting. Yeah. Anyone else thoughts on this movie, Edge of 17?
It's a great pick. I didn't even realize I did not get to do enough research for this. I was a little preoccupied coming into it. But so I didn't realize that was directed by a woman, but I would have put it in comedy anyway. But no, that's a great movie. It's a great pick. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? No. Kerri, have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but I'm really.
Kerri, I gotta see this movie.
It is really, really good.
Great movie.
Karly, have you seen this one?
I have. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't remember it very well, but I do remember loving it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So Kerri, we're throwing it over to you now for your first pick in this draft. What are you going to go with?
Okay. I'm going to go with a comedy. I'm going to go with a childhood favorite. And it's 1998's The Parent Trap, directed by Stacy Morris. This was like a giant part of my childhood. It was one of like, if you came over my house for a sleepover, there were one of 4 VHS tapes we watched. This was one of them. So I've seen it like so many times, but I don't know, as far as like formative movies, it's just a fun I don't know. I don't want to say a girls movie. I think anyone can watch this movie and have a great time, but just very classic Lindsay Lohan as a child, and just the fun aspects of that movie. I wish I had gotten to do a rewatch before this. I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I'm hoping it still holds up as much as I remember it.
Yeah. Anyone else have thoughts on Parent Trap? I actually famously haven't seen it in a while. Like I've seen it, but like never, like I haven't sat down that I can remember and like watched it all the way through. But anyone have thoughts? Karly, you look like you had thoughts on Parent Trap.
I was obsessed with this film as a kid. I would watch it over and over and over and over again. I loved it. I didn't even think about this film, so
Wow.
I'm excited to see it picked.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Dyl, I totally understand why maybe you haven't seen it, because I feel like for its time, like I think we can kind of, use the term chick flick when it comes to this movie, because I feel like, 1998, when we were all watching it, like it was back in the time where we like, used, terminology like that. So Dyl, like, I'll excuse you this one time, but you must watch this movie because it's iconic. There's you just had to have like grown up with it, I feel, because it's that's such a good one. I didn't realize that was directed by a woman.
Yeah.
I'm too old to have grown up with it.
Have you seen it though, Stacy?
I mean, I think I saw it. I probably saw it in the late 90s, just had it on at some point. I don't really remember it too well.
I love the
I can
song.
picture Lindsay Lohan in it in my head, so I know that I've seen parts of it. But
I also think people don't get enough credit for playing two people in the same movie, like twins. Like when Tom Hardy did it a few years ago too. It's like that's always a great acting challenge. I love that. That is an awesome pick, Kerri. All right, Stacy, we're moving on to you. Moving right along. What is going to be your first pick in this draft? Oh, and wait, one more time, Kerri. That was your comedy, right?
Yes.
Cool.
So I am also going to start with my first pick in drama. And I am going with Promising Young Woman by Emerald Fennell, which was one of my favorite movies of the past few years. I heard
Kelsey's already on horizontal already on pick 3.
I was so nervous that she was going to take it when she started with drama too. But this movie was just the realism in this movie is unfortunate, but so like relatable to a point where I didn't even realize certain things were happening in retrospect until I was watching this movie and things like it. And I was like, oh fuck yeah. Like, yeah, you deal with that shit. And the end is great. And I love everything about it. I love everything about it. It's such a great movie. It's a must watch if you haven't seen it. Yeah. Especially
Kelsey, you look like
we're talking about women.
I literally have that one written down first, but I was so nervous that The Edge of 17 was going to be more popular. So it's like, I feel like I got to get that one off the board immediately. But holy shit, I should have known that Promising Young Woman was going to be someone else's pick because it was so good. And it was like everything you said, Stacy. It's like, it's so topical and like accurate and relatable in the worst ways. But it's just, it's just so good. Like, it's just also just a well done movie. Like, it's so stylized well, and the costumes are brilliant, and the makeup, like, everything works.
I don't know how it plays for guys or even really other girls, I guess, but I found it somewhat visceral. Like,
I
tell us what you thought of that movie.
I really like I like the first two like thirds of this movie a lot. Like I think it's got a lot of great things to say, especially about like date rape culture and stuff like that. That really opened my eyes to it. I think the ending is where I'm like not 100% on board, just because it's like you kind of want her to get her revenge in a way, and I don't want to spoil how it ends, but like you see it where like there's a really powerful thing to say about her not getting that objective at the end, but then the film also then still tries to give it to you at the end. There's like almost like two endings. There's like a coda to it that I felt like they should have gone one way or the other, whereas they kind of had tried to have the best of both worlds. But like the first like 2/3 of that movie, like I watched it with my parents over quarantine. I love that movie. I think it's so well acted and so well designed. Like all of the different like vignettes, almost like when she goes and visits the dean at the school. Like that's my favorite one. The where she like shows up and like has like kidnapped the daughter essentially. It's like a dark humor too. Like I could have also
Yeah.
seen this going in comedy because it's got that dark humor, but I definitely think it is a drama, especially with how it ends. But yeah, really, really good.
And I want to say one more thing about
I
it.
was just gonna say one more thing also, but Stacey, go ahead. Yeah.
No. Just the opening where she's pretending to be drunk and the guy's like being real nice and takes her home and like then of course makes her feel bad because it's just so real. It's so sadly real, but it floored me because you don't see it in movies, even though it's so real. And I just had to speak about that part. Anyway, go ahead.
My point was along the lines of that, whereas like all those actors now, because this movie was so good, and I'm talking to all of them, like Adam Brody, who's the other one? Christopher Mintz-Plasse, McLovin, and then of course Bo Burnham, and then even the guy at the end, the guy whose bachelor party is, I forget his name, but he's on How I Met Your Father. Now, if I watch any of the 4 of them and anything else, I hate them because of this movie. Like I saw Adam Brody. Adam Brody is grown up Jack Dylan Grazer in Shazam, and I'm like, get that dude off my screen. And like I watched Role Models with the kid for McLovin, and I'm like, ew, that kid sucks.
It also makes you hate like Alison Brie as well. Like, because she's like, like a women written for like the male gaze in that movie, essentially. And you just like, you watch her and you're like, oh, you're the reason why.
Yeah.
Like,
and then the other woman who's the mom in White Lotus too.
It's Connie Britton, America's mom, Tammy Taylor.
But so this movie was so good that it made me hate them, and I don't actually hate them, but like in movies now, I just like think of them in this movie, and I'm like, like How I Met Your Father. I'm like, Hilary Duff can't love him. He killed Carrie Mulligan. Which spoiler alert, I'm sorry. Everyone here has seen it, and everyone who's watching this, I'm assuming, has seen it because it also did really well at the Oscars. Kerri, I know Chad loves this movie. Do you love this movie?
Oh yeah, definitely. This was a great pick. And yeah, I think like you were touching on, the casting in this movie is so perfect because I think the cast is a lot of people who we generally view as actors we like. They play likable characters. They seem likable in real life. And then they're just all giant jerks, like deep down underneath. But yeah, this movie was absolutely brilliant. And it was definitely one of my favorites of that year.
Nice. Karly, any thoughts?
This was my number 2 under drama. It would have been the second movie I picked because it's just so good. Carey Mulligan was definitely my pick for Best Actress that year. I wanted her to win so badly. And I love how colorful it is. Like the colors just pop, and it's just, it's not the type of film that you would think would do that, but it works so well. I love this film so much. I think it was probably one of my favorite of that year.
Nice. And there's a few other movies like from that year and the year after that were nominated for Best Picture, and maybe some that won that we'll maybe talk about. But moving along, I'm going to take a comedy. I didn't put one of the Blu-rays behind me because I didn't want anyone to be like tipped off and taking it. So I'm going to put her up here. I'm putting Lady Bird back there. That is my first comedy. I love this movie so much. I saw this movie at the New York Film Festival. What's so funny, Kels?
We're all crossing it off our lists.
Oh, okay. If anyone, Kelsey's seen my laptop in person, but there she is right there. She's on my laptop. I love this character so much. I grew up in a household with I have an amazing mother, an amazing sister, and I have seen every in and out of a mother-daughter bond. I have not lived it firsthand, obviously, but like just growing up with that, like you love each other so much, but you get so frustrated with one another, but you still just like there's this bond that cannot be. It's a bond like no other, and I think this film really gets that really well. But it is just hilarious. I mean, there's so many great gags, especially involving like the Catholic Church, like Catherine Newton, who's famously now playing Cassie Lang in Quantumania as the little girl with the glasses who comes in. She's like, "You're not supposed to eat the wafers." Like, it's just so funny. It's a great Beanie Feldstein performance. It's a great Saoirse Ronan performance. Laurie Metcalf should have won that Oscar. And I saw this at the New York Film Festival in 2017. It was my second year going to the festival, and I had kind of come off the hype of seeing Moonlight the year before. I was like, oh man, what new awesome piece of movies am I going to see today? And I sat like a few rows behind Ben Platt, who's one of my favorite actors, who was supporting his best friend Beanie in the movie. And then like I was sitting a few seats away from Greta Gerwig, and it just didn't process to me yet that like they were all in the room, and then Greta gets up for her applause after the movie, and I just like felt like I was in a moment. And then to see this little film that seemingly didn't seem like an Oscar movie, go on to get like Oscar nominations and become like one of the most beloved movies of that time, and still referenced today. The fact that Greta Gerwig is making a movie based on like Mattel products, Barbie, and like people are so excited about it, says a lot about her and how much she like made a statement with her filmmaking early on. Like this is her first film on her own, and like it's just so well done. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. But I also put it in comedy because I think it's really, really funny as well. So yeah, that's my pick for one of my comedies, Lady Bird. I absolutely love it. But someone else take it away, because I could go on hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're all like, yeah. We all had it on our list.
All right, I'm just gonna say.
Let Karly talk.
Go, Stacy.
I know.
Go,
well, she was laughing, so I was like, "I'll talk while she laughs."
You go, Stacy.
So I just rewatched it for this because I had only seen it once when it came out, and I remember, despite my age, quite a bit what it was like to be a teenage girl. I have raised a teenage girl. I could relate to both sides of this so strongly. It was ridiculous. Like both sides are so well written that I couldn't even see like one was right. I mean, Lady Bird in her ways can be kind of horrible, but like I couldn't even say like one is right and one is wrong, because I could just see myself in both of them so much in so many ways. And it is just, the writing of that is incredible. The performances of that are incredible. And after my rewatch, it moved way up my list. So it's a great pick, obviously.
Yeah. Stacey, the scene that sticks out in my mind so well, that's like such a great example, I feel, of what you're talking about, is when they're at the thrift store and they're dress shopping.
Yes.
And like the mom is like, honestly, like, what have you been eating recently?
Right.
Like, blah, blah, she's nitpicking something about her. And then she pulls the dress and goes, oh my God, what about this one? And then they both just lose whatever they were arguing about and go, oh my God, this is the dress. This is perfect.
100%.
And I'm like, that is the relationship between a mother and a daughter encapsulated in one moment, like easily. And what this movie honestly like reminded me of is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which also is a brilliant representation of a mother-daughter relationship in a more, whimsical and like, sci-fi way about going about it. But I was watching that movie and I was like, this movie kind of reminds me of Lady Bird,
Yeah, for sure. Karly, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that like I had a difficult relationship with my mom. Like there's a lot of ups and downs with it, and the moment when she's having an argument with her mom and she literally opens the car door while it's driving to get out, I was like, I have felt that desire so many times. So while watching it, I was just like so happy. It's just it's so good. Like it, it shows difficult relationships with mothers and daughters. Once there's a stronger bond, like it's just so relatable, and like it has a great runtime. It's not too long and not too short, and it's just amazing. Greta Gerwig is a genius, and I may have another one of her Greta Gerwig's films potentially coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we all know which one we're talking about. Kerri, any thoughts on Lady Bird?
This is like a really big embarrassing gap that I have, and I haven't seen it.
Wow.
It was fun. I must have been busy, and Chad went and saw it without me, and then we rewatched it for some reason. We just haven't had a chance, but
is it still on Netflix?
I was gonna say we're all adding stuff to our watch list as we go.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll watch Parent Trap. You watch Lady Bird, Kerri.
Yeah.
Karly, you get 2 picks back to back now. So what's gonna be your first pick off the board? You get
all
more
right.
power here.
My first pick, I think, is right behind you, Dylan. Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, it might be my favorite of these films. I'm pretty sure the director is also gay herself, so like just having a queer woman direct a movie about a queer romance is just I just have so much to say about this film. It's so beautiful. It looks gorgeous. There's a lot of slower films that I don't like because they're too slow, but there's something about this that just it doesn't bore me. It's like and like it's tragic, but it's not like heartbreaking in a way. Like it's almost hard to describe. Like it's not bury your gaze, but it's like it's so hard to describe with words. It's a beautiful film, and I could just watch it 100 times. I love it so much.
Yeah, I have it behind me. I watch it all the time. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and it's a good point. Like you make, like it's a slow film, but like I watch it a lot. Like it's easily watchable for some reason. It's just this beautiful romance. Has anyone else on the panel seen it? You want to talk about it? Kerri, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I think like you guys said, this is just a gorgeous film, and it you're right, it's slow, but it's like it captures your attention the whole time. Like there's constantly like just subtle hints and visuals that I think keep you engaged.
Yeah. Stacy, have you seen this one?
I haven't. I actually started it, but I wasn't in the mind space for subtitles. Like it just I couldn't focus on them at the time, and I wanted to give it its due. I didn't want to walk away going, "Oh, it's fine," because I wasn't paying enough attention. So I have not yet seen it. It is on the list.
Yeah. Kelsey, have you seen this one?
I haven't, but this movie was literally on every single list
that
I went while I was researching. I was like, movies directed by women, and it's literally on like the best 100, best 50, best whatever, like this movie's mentioned. So yeah, literally. So I was like, this movie, it might be worth checking out, maybe.
Yeah, it's great. I also love how like because the Sight and Sound releases their top 100 every 10 years, and like the last time they did it was 2012, and then they did it again in 2022, and only like 3 movies from the past decade made it on. It was like, or 4. It was like Moonlight, Parasite, Get Out, and then this Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which is so cool. And it was like number 20 of the greatest 100 films of all time. I was like, that's like pretty awesome for a film to come out in 2019, then 2 years later is like on the top 100 of all time by like so many different people's standards. That was really cool. All right, Karly, you get another pick now. You can go with another drama, or you can go with something else. What would you like?
I got a genre film that, if you know me, will not surprise you at all, but I would not be surprised if it's on no one else's list. I was very excited when I realized this was directed by a woman, because it doesn't pop up on those top 100 movies directed by women.
I hope you're not going to pick mine. Oh.
It is Twilight, directed by Catherine Hardwicke.
Love it.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Really just going with my heart here. But like, okay, like you can nitpick this film and say it's not the greatest thing ever, but it is iconic. Like you cannot say it is not iconic. Most people think it's the best of the franchise. It is the only film in the franchise directed by women, which I could rant about, but I will not. It's just amazing. Like Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson are, regardless of their performances in this, you cannot say they're not great actors. The cinematography, I live in Washington State, so like being able to see all that greenery and get to see the beauty of it, and really it feels like Washington when I'm watching it. I'm not sure if they shot it in Washington, but it feels very green, and I love the blue tint. Some people don't love the blue tint, but I think the blue tint, it just makes it so great. There's so many iconic lines. This is a skin of a killer. I love it so much. And that the whole meadow scene, a lot of people, or the forest scene, a lot of people don't know that is not from the book. The way she finds out he's a vampire is different in the book. And I just love that. I know what you are. Say it out loud. Like, it's just, this may not be the best film directed by a woman, but it's the one that brings me the most joy. So I am picking it.
Love the
that matters.
Yeah. Matt and I covered Twilight, so I don't need to go on about how much I enjoy this one. I love it. It's of an era. It was like our era, you know. Kelsey, you're part of that era too. Like that was our high school experience. You know, Karly is the same.
It's an iconic movie, and it's an excellent pick. It was definitely like in one of the movies that I had somewhere in the realm of my list. So I respect this pick. Don't feel any shame about this pick.
Yeah. Anyone else thoughts on Twilight?
Has Anna Kendrick in it.
True.
My imaginary BFF.
It's amazing.
The baseball scene. Oh, it's so good.
Oh my
So
god.
Oh, yes.
yeah, I mean, yeah, sports is so good.
And the music is genuinely like
The music is
Oh.
great.
The
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 soundtrack is great.
soundtrack.
And it's not a bad movie. Like
Yeah.
I think it gets too much crap.
Well, because the
and my
sequels were
daughter
so camp
was-
and got Razzies,
Yeah.
so like everyone
Mhm.
associates
Yeah.
them all under the same umbrella. But the first one's genuinely good. Like if they had stopped after the first one, like I think people would talk
Yeah.
about it in a more positive light.
Yeah,
daughter
Catherine
was-
Hardwicke should have gotten more directing after this. It's
Yes.
like the reason I actually remembered Twilight was directed by a woman is because I was looking up some of these directors like on IMDb, just curious what they had done. And what happens with a lot of women, they direct a lot of TV because it was hard for them. It's hard for them to get movie directing roles, especially until recently. So, and I was like, oh, that happened to Catherine Hardwicke too.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's tough.
My daughter was obsessed with these movies with Taylor Lautner
Mhm.
specifically. Not so much like she's on the young, and she's younger than you guys a bit. God, that's so weird for me to say that she's only a bit younger than you. Like a couple of years. Anyway.
It was more the
So-
looks rather than the acting talent.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I
Taylor
mean, her
Lautner,
favorite is Johnny Depp in the pirate movies when she was a kid, and Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. So, she wasn't all Taylor Lautner for sure. But so I saw them in the theaters. I actually went to like midnight release parties that I took her to of DVDs and stuff. I mean, they're fun. It's fun. It's a fun fandom. It has its place for sure. And I don't think it's a bad pick at all. Going with your heart's never a bad idea.
Yeah. I'm going to continue going with my heart. And it's tough because comedy is the one where I have the most choices. Like I love all my comedies. Like drama, it's like I have a good like 4 or 5 that I really, really like. But like comedies, it's like they're so long. But my second favorite movie directed by a woman or co-directed by a woman is also a comedy. So I'm going to go with it. It's also behind me. It's Little Miss Sunshine. I think this film, it teeters a line between drama and comedy, but I mean, it's about these people getting in a van and going to this pageant. Grandpa dies and they have to literally take him in the car, his body in the car as they drive. And then she gets to the pageant and all these pageant girls are prim and proper. And she starts busting out into like 80s rock. Like, it's so funny, and it's such a good cast of different relationships. Steve Carell's great, Paul Dano, Toni Collette, Abigail Breslin, Alan Arkin wins the Oscar for it. But it also has great dramatic moments. Steve Carell's character, recently tried to commit suicide, and he's dealing with that. And then he's also gay, and you also have Paul Dano's character, very soft spoken, but then at the end finds out he's colorblind and can't be a pilot like he's always dreamed of, and he has a amazing scene. Like it's just such a great amalgamation of different like tones, but also still has like one very good vibe, and it's a movie you can just kind of sit back and put on and still feel things but not feel like it's too heavy. Like it's very light fun. I mean, the cover, it's bright yellow, it's got the bus or the car, it looks like a bus because yellow school buses, that's what I associate in my head. But yeah, it's just so funny them pushing the car and all having to like hop in it. It's a great road trip movie, a great family movie. A movie about families, not like a family movie for kids, but I think kids might be able to watch it and be okay. Like I think this is a good like introducing kids to more mature movies could be a good like stepping stone, even though it's a little profane and vulgar at times. But I really love Little Miss Sunshine. It's co-directed. I should have pulled up all their names. If anyone has the names written down, I don't know if anyone else had this on their list. It's co-directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris. So Valerie Faris is the one I'm championing here. Just a really good film. I like it a lot. Anyone else have this on their list or seen it?
I've seen it, but it was a long time ago. I remember the dance scene. Obviously, that's always going to stick out, her little dance at the pageant, but I don't remember it well enough to have it on my list.
Gotcha. Anyone else?
I'll admit, I'll confess something right here, right now. I've never seen this movie.
It's okay, Kelsey.
I feel like that's kind of criminal. It feels like one of those movies that I definitely should have seen at some point, but I never have. This isn't the one where she's like, his glasses.
No.
He can't see without
my
his glasses.
That's my girl.
That's a whole different
That's
Oh,
my
story.
girl.
don't bring that
That's
up.
when I was a kid.
Ow.
My
Full-on drama.
childhood.
Okay,
You just broke our hearts all at once, Kelsey.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
God.
All right, I haven't seen that one either.
Don't see it.
Evidently.
Who's
Thomas
the little girl in
G.
that though? That's not Abigail Breslin, right? No, she
No,
was.
no. It's oh my goodness. It's I'm like blanking now. No, it's definitely not Abigail Breslin. She's not my age. This is when I was a kid. This movie came out.
Yeah, Abigail Breslin was like our childhood
I mean, not like a little kid. I wasn't like a little kid when it came out. But
is Abigail Breslin and Dakota Fanning were like the two little kid girls working like in the mid 2000s around this time.
I can't remember her name. Anna Klumsky. Anna Klumsky was her name.
There it is.
I can't believe I pulled that.
Wow, good pull.
Almost like she's good at trivia or something. Anyone else see Little Miss Sunshine or have any thoughts on Little Miss Sunshine? Kerri?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a perfect movie. And that's a great pick. It wasn't on my list just because I think I had like ruled out anything that was co-directed, but it's a fantastic pick. Like, yeah, one of my favorites to watch.
Cool. Karly, any thoughts? Have you seen this?
Yeah, I really like that one. I haven't seen it in a little while, but I remember watching it. It was just delightful. Just made me very happy. It's very good comedy pick.
And now all the Blu-rays behind me have been picked, so there's no like tipping of picks yet. So Stacy, what's your second pick going to be? You already have one drama.
I am so excited that I am going to get my top comedy and my top drama. My favorite movie, Oscar-winning movie, Coda is my top pick for comedy by Sian Heder.
Yeah.
I adore this movie with all my heart. I just adore it so much. I mean, other people can talk about the representation probably better than I can of, the deaf family. But the family dynamics, the comedy, the way they pick on each other, I just love so much. It's just so real. And I'm a person who does not get upset in movies, like with deaths and stuff. I don't cry, but anybody who knows me will have heard ad nauseum that I am a person who cries when I'm touched by things. And when very specifically, when people get deserved recognition that have not been recognized for stuff, I bawl my eyes out for like the last 20 minutes of this movie practically. Like it's just so good. It's just so good. It's so funny. It's so heartwarming. It deserved its best picture and then some. I love it.
Yeah. It was funny because I didn't even consider it a comedy. I put it under drama, but you make a lot of good points. Like it's really nothing super dramatic really happens. It is about this family dynamic and kind of like the best parts of the movie are the funny parts. Like the when they're having sex, but they're
it's gonna see the parents and the sex stuff. Like it's hilarious. And the kid at Tinder at the table when the mom is like, "This is what we do as a family." When she's like, he can do Tinder on his phone at the table because she gets in trouble, and she goes, "Well, we're doing this as a family. It's Tinder."
Yeah, it reminds me of Lady Bird and Little Miss Sunshine in that fact that it's like it's a drama, it's a family comedy. There's dramatic elements to it, but overall, it's about this like great family comedy scene. Anyone else? Coda, any thoughts? I know Chad loves this one too. So do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yes, this was his favorite movie of 2021. Right? 2021. Yeah. And it was my second favorite. And it was definitely on my list.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
This is a tough loss. I'll be honest. I'm going now for like literally for when it comes to my second drama. Granted, Kerri doesn't pick it because then I really don't know what I'm gonna do. I had it under my drama category. I know you just picked it for your comedy. But yeah. So long story short, I'm a little screwed, but it's okay. We're gonna figure it out.
This is why I didn't want to go first. I was like, I need to be right in the middle because I was afraid of that.
That was smart. Damn. All right.
It's okay, Kels. You'll get something good. I have faith in you. Karly,
let's
any
just
thoughts
on
on
Kerri's? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I would like to
pull me out of my misery.
I would like to talk a little bit about the deaf representation, like how, because I work with kids with disabilities. Nice. I don't work with any deaf kids at the moment, but just makes me so happy to see Troy Kotzer get to accept that Academy Award, and he's just so delightful. Whenever anyone sees him, it's just like he's amazing. Like he kind of reminds me of Ke-Huy Quan, just that it's like you want him to have everything, and it makes you so happy to see him doing so well. And it's so cool that he got to win the Oscar for that, and that you just get to see so much deaf representation in this, and you get to see like their language and like just how their culture is different. And like I really like how it shows that a lot of them don't necessarily view deafness as a disability. Like I think this and Sound of Metal do that really well of just showing you the whole community. And whenever there's disability representation in anything, I get really excited. So I was really happy to see this film do so well.
Oh, and it takes place in my home state of Massachusetts, and I knew about 5 minutes going in. I didn't know before I started watching the movie it took place in Mass, but about like 5-10 minutes into the movie, it's like, are they in Massachusetts? Because you could just tell.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised there were no scenes where Troy Kotzer was ordering Dunkin' Donuts with Casey Affleck at any point. But moving on now to Kerri, your second pick. You already have one comedy off the board.
Okay, I think I'm gonna stick with 90s comedies
Cool.
for my second pick. I'm gonna go with Clueless, directed by Amy Heckerling.
That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
Very much a very, very classic 90s movie. Shoot, sorry, my computer's messed up. Okay. This movie is genuinely hilarious. Like it still holds up today. Like I just rewatched it, I think last year or the year before. And it holds up every time. It's still freaking hilarious. And I don't know. I love the characters in this movie. Like I think they, you know, especially like Cher can start off seeming kind of shallow, but you know, there's a lot of depth to the characters as well. And I think I don't know. I just love this movie.
Yeah, love it. Any other thoughts on Clueless? Kelsey, we just covered Clueless on our podcast. Any thoughts?
We just covered Clueless, and I'm pretty sure it was my pick for C in my ABC draft day, if I'm remembering.
I can check.
It might have been. Actually, I think I remember that because I was excited about that.
Sorry, Kelsey. Yours was Captain America: the Winter Soldier.
Oh, it was. Oh, well,
I'm looking at the book.
Well, I definitely had it like as an option for one of my C's. So
you had very similar films, Kelsey. You had like, I'll name some ones directed by men, but you had like Juno, you had Easy A, like you had some very similar types of movies.
You had 10 Things I Hate About You.
You did have Twilight.
Yeah.
You did have Twilight.
I did have Twilight. Yeah, this one's just so good. I mean, because like you said, Kerri, there's a lot of depth to all these characters, and specifically like this one moment with Cher specifically, like when she corrects the girl in the car when she like misquotes Hamlet. She's like, yeah, how Hamlet said this, and she's like, no, Polonius said that. And it's like, because you wouldn't expect someone who looks and acts like Cher to like be an intelligent woman. And it's just like a reminder that, like, you know, we're all multifaceted and we can all be into fashion but also be book smart, you know what I mean? So I think that movie's ahead of its time in some of its humor and choices. It's a good one.
I was a teenage girl when this movie came out. It was a Sophie's choice between this and Coda for my first comedy, because I knew that one would probably go if I didn't pick it, but I'm just happy to talk about Clueless. What Kelsey said is 100% right about her being smart in a way you wouldn't expect. I love, and I have not seen this movie in years. I just watched it so much that I don't need to. I love how she negotiates everything because her dad's the big shot lawyer. So she negotiates her grades, she negotiates her curfew. And hello, Paul Rudd. This was his big breakout. This is when I first became aware of him. I think a lot of people first became aware of him in this movie. And that is the gift that just keeps on giving. So for no other reason, Clueless should be on everybody's list.
Yeah, and it's a great adaptation, like Kelsey said. Karly, any thoughts on Clueless?
Yeah, other than I was just going to bring up Paul Rudd, but Stacy just brought him up. But yeah, it's a great film. I love it. It's a great adaptation of, what is it, Emma? Is it an Emma adaptation?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or loosely, I think, but
yeah. She's a matchmaker. She's out trying to matchmake. That's like the main plot, really. When you get past all the character stuff, is she's matchmaking everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still have
Which-
not seen Emma, which I probably should.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like Emma, the problems I have with Clueless are not problems with Clueless, more so problems with Emma. Like the whole like, oh, he's your sibling kinda. Like that's a little weird
Yeah.
for me. But I'm like, but
The
that's Emma.
stepbrother
Like
thing.
it's Emma. It's her stepbrother too. So like I get that. But yeah, so funny. And I love the Super Bowl commercial they did for it. I don't know if anyone else saw it, where Alicia Silverstone was in. They just did a commercial for the Super Bowl of it. So I highly recommend y'all check that out. I don't know who else is in it. I think maybe Paul Rudd's in it. I don't remember entirely. But I remember Kelsey was. We were actually watching the Super Bowl together with some friends, and I remember being like, "Kelsey, it's Alicia Silverstone." And then you're like, "Wait, is that Clueless? Are they reenacting?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
they
yeah.
are." It was like for some car they were selling.
I remember Alicia Silverstone was in it, and then also the girl who played like the mean girl who goes like whatever. She
Yes.
was. She was
Amber?
in the commercial. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
so
I don't
they got
remember
her.
anyone else.
Great pick. Great pick. And that's your second comedy, correct? So Kelsey, we're moving on to you now. You get 2 in a row, so you can take anything now. You said alluded to taking your drama, but technically you do also get the first pick of the third round. So
Right,
you can
right,
pick your
right.
drama then.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick my second drama.
Okay.
Just because like I don't know, I just need to put myself at ease here. So I shuffled some things around, and so I originally had this movie in comedy, but I think that it could also work in drama, and I looked it up, and it's like categorically under, if you Google it, it says sport/drama.
Oh,
So I am taking A League of Their Own.
I would say drama, 100%.
Directed by Penny Marshall.
Penny Marshall.
A Penny Marshall film. Yeah. I mean, come on. This one's just iconic. There's no crying in baseball. We all know and love this film, and if you don't, you should educate yourself. So that is my pick for drama.
You did pick this on the Tom Hanks draft too, I believe. Yeah, this
I
is
did.
a popular one for draft day. I love it too. Any thoughts on League of Their Own? Anyone?
I'm very sad that it was taken.
I'm so sorry, Karly.
It would have been gone because there's another comedy that owns my heart that I have to pick first. But
Okay.
I love it so much. Like I love a good sports film, and when the sport is like with women, I'm also like, it makes me so much more happier. It's just delightful. It's just, I love it so much. And like the casting of their older counterparts is great. The main cast is great. It's just great. It's just great.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Any other thoughts?
I mean, it's on my list. I just haven't seen it in such a long time that I couldn't put it too high on my list because I didn't feel like I could adequately talk about it.
Yeah. Kerri, any thoughts?
Yeah, great pick. This is an amazing movie.
Yeah, it's a good one. There you go, Kelsey. You got your dramas out of the way. Good job.
Okay.
And now you get a pick at any comedy. You have 2 comedy slots and 1 genre slot. So what would you like?
Oh my God. Okay. Okay, well that one I can't have anymore. Okay, so I don't think I have to worry about any of my options for genre film going. So I'm gonna pick one of my comedies. Okay. I'm gonna pick see, I had so many options for comedy, and I don't know what to go with. Okay, I'm like, I don't know which one to worry about. Okay, I'm just gonna take this one because I found out that this one was co-directed by a woman, and I was like, that's iconic. This movie's hilarious. For some reason, it's like been making a comeback in my life for some reason. I feel like maybe collectively all of our lives, but for some reason specifically me. And it's Shrek.
Yes, that was on purpose. That's a great pick.
I found out when I was going through all the lists of like films directed by women that this movie was co-directed by a woman, and I was like, what? I mean, like, Shrek is iconic. It's hilarious. It's quotable. There's so many funny moments we remember from this movie. It's a musical now. Like it's just I love it. The soundtrack. Oh my God. For the longest time, Hallelujah was just the song from Shrek in my mind. Like, it was just the song written for Shrek. Like, someone played it, literally someone like years later, someone's like playing it in church. I'm literally in church. I'm like, why are they singing the song from Shrek? It's like a whole song that has nothing to do with Shrek. But yeah, I mean, this movie is just such a delight. And it's just like I feel like it's so camp now, like looking back at it, that I just love it.
And we're still getting Shrek movie. We got Puss in Boots 2 in theaters literally a few months ago. Like, they're still cranking out these things. It's a great franchise. It was my number 3 comedy behind Lady Bird and Little Miss Sunshine. Like, I kid you not. Like, I was ready to pick it because I didn't think anyone else would think of it. I was like, it's animated, so maybe it's like not on people's radars. But I was like, good for you, Kelsey, because it's hilarious. It's so funny. It's a funny movie. Anyone else thoughts on Shrek?
I didn't realize it was on the list, like eligible. I didn't think about it at all. But can I just say, as a young parent of a child at that time, it was such a delight. Like, I mean, what was it? Early 2000s, right? That Shrek came out?
It was 2000 or 2001?
Was 2000? Yeah. So I might not have seen it. In 2001, I probably did see it in the theaters. It's borderline. But I was in my early 20s, and it was really nice to have a movie that I could enjoy taking my kid to. It's very meta, which I love. And it was meta before I think things were called meta, which I love. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's just fun. It's great.
Yeah, I love it. The only thing that makes me sad, I don't know if I should say that. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
No, say it.
I don't want to break down
you
the
have
mood,
to.
So earlier in the film, when Donkey's being traded or whatever, you see the 3 bears are getting split up in the cages, and it's really sad. It's like, oh, they're getting separated. And I thank Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, because like they made it uncanon now. But later on the film, when Lord Farquaad is sitting in his bedroom, there's a bear rug, and it has Mama Bear's little bow. And I'm like, oh no, they literally pulled her off and made her a rug. That made me so sad as a kid. I was so upset. But then in the last movie, they literally make a subplot with Goldilocks and the 3 bears. So it must be that they're either another set of bears, or that other bear is just a replica bear rug that Farquaad got and like wanted to put a bow on. That Mama Bear actually did escape and is now out with Goldilocks, voiced by Florence Pugh, doing cool things. So that's what I like to believe. But I mean, there's so many like ins and outs to that movie you can like dissect. Like even just nope, not gonna say it. That one I'm actually not gonna say.
I see like clips of this movie on like TikTok today, and there's jokes that I didn't understand like when I first watched it that today I understand.
Why it was fun as a parent.
Yes, I can imagine. Because like, yeah, that's what makes like these kind of movies so fun to rewatch. That like, you know, you don't catch things or like visual gags like when you're a kid that you catch now, and like innuendos and all that. And I didn't mention her name before, but the woman director who co-directed, her name is Vicki Jensen. Just so we know.
Yeah, she went on to make another animated film. I'm not sure if it'll get picked. It probably won't. But I won't drop the name anyway. Any other thoughts on Shrek?
It's a great choice.
I'm just happy we have some animation representation in women-directed films.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are not enough, but I mean, it's the first animated Oscar winner. They made an Oscar because that year Monsters Inc. and Shrek were such big hits. They were like, we got to make an Oscar for this because now we're getting good animated films. So there you go. Kelsey, you just picked. Kerri, now your comedies are off the board. What would you like to pick next?
Oh, well, now I have to make a decision, and like my comedies are very easy, and this is more difficult. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with. Yeah, I'm going to go with The Farewell, which was directed by Lulu Wang.
Awesome.
This was just a really, really beautiful movie. I think it touches on so many different issues, like, you know, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a woman who comes from an immigrant family and from a traditional family, and to have those bonds of family and to have those bonds like so far apart in space. And I don't know, it was a story Lulu Wang first presented it on This American Life. So, and it was just really cool to see this like come to life visually, and to have for her to be able to like express this story so beautifully in a film.
Yeah, it's a great pick. This one made me cry. This is your drama, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, drama. Yes.
Yeah, no, because there is a little dark comedy in it, but it's so dramatic. And so
Yeah.
beautiful, and it's a true story. Correct? Is that true?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man. Oh. And she's still, the grandmother's still alive, right? I believe they said in like the post
about today, but I
maybe
think
that's
the
today.
movie was made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If she's dead, no one tell us. We don't want to know.
Yes, no.
We
Well, that
just-
was the beauty of the film. It's like, you know, if she doesn't know, then she can live her life and enjoy her life. And there's a kind of morbid sense to that, like, oh, we're not going to tell our grandma she's terminally ill, but there's also like a, you know what, let her enjoy life. Why does she have to know? Because when you know it's coming to an end, you feel different about it. It's very philosophical in that sense. So it's a really good movie, and probably Awkwafina's best work as an actress. Like, I really like her, because usually she's just a funny girl, and she gets to be funny in this, but she's like really getting some good dramatic chops here too. So anyway, other thoughts on The Farewell?
She's not
I
dead.
haven't seen it.
She's not dead. Cool. Oh,
She's not dead. She's
Congrats.
79 years young. Okay.
wow, love
Everyone.
that. Love that. Kelsey, have you seen this one?
I haven't, but it was also on a bunch of lists, and I love Awkwafina, so I feel like, I don't know, I feel like when this movie first came out, it was a movie, because didn't she win the Golden Globe?
She might have won the Globe for it, or was nominated at least.
Because I
can-
remember her making a speech, and she was like, "See, Dad, I told you I'd get a job," and I just like, I was like, "That's iconic. I'm stealing that when I accept an award." Because I remember when it first came out, I was like, this seems like a movie I would be into. So I always felt like I should get around to seeing it, but I just haven't. But now I will.
Yeah, she did win the Golden Globe for it. That was actually a pretty stacked year. And I'm not going to name the nominees because there's some movies that we could bring up here, so I won't. But yeah, she won. Pretty awesome. Anyone else on The Farewell? Karly, Stacy?
I haven't seen it.
I've seen it. Great film. I really like how it deals with like the different forms of grief. Like the way different characters grieve is different, and you know, some people grieve in what people think is weird ways, but you know, it's just how different people cope.
Yeah, love that. All right, Stacy, you've got your dramas off the board. You can pick 2 comedies or
No,
one of
I
the 2
have one
comedies.
drama and one comedy off the board.
Oh, Coda was your comedy. That's correct.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So you got a wide open slate right now.
So my top pick for genre, I'm not sure if people want to count, and I have a backup pick. It's 100% fine. I initially was not gonna put it on the list, but then it came up on some lists, and that's because it's The Matrix by the Wachowskis. But they were not women when they made
count it.
They're
I
women.
say count
I
it.
count it. Yeah.
Okay.
I count it. Yeah.
Okay. So
and
The
also
Matrix.
like you should pick it because it's also like I'm I know we all have personal picks, but I'm shocked it's made it this long without being picked. I think you should take it. Yes.
Okay. I mean, at least we should talk about it, at the very least. But I did have a very good backup if that was vetoed.
I don't veto.
I feel like it's very informed by the fact they are trans women, like in the writing too. So I feel like that above everything else should make
This is all information I'm learning for the first time. I love to be educated.
Yay! That's excellent.
The Wachowskis formally presented as male now have recently come out, or not recently, but it's been a little while, and
it's been a little while.
They are trans women. They identify as women. So yeah, they are women, and I think it counts.
Sisters.
Yeah. And The Matrix is amazing.
Is incredible.
It was a what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it was definitely a genre-changing movie, but it was kind of an industry-changing movie. At the time, the way they used the slow motion and the bullet time and the fighting. I mean, I know you guys all grew up with that being in the past and a lot of stuff doing it probably, but like it was so mind-blowing when it came out. It was so revolutionary. Carrie-Anne Moss, she's so badass. Like, she's so badass. I know Keanu Reeves is great. Neo, blah, 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 blah. No. Meet Carrie-Anne Moss in some leather any day of the week. Or pleather, really, kind of. There's just... love or hate the sequels, the original is an iconic film. It's epic. It's genre defying. It should be on any list that it can be on.
I'll say right now, I love the sequels. I don't love the third one, but the fourth one was really cool in how introspective it was. But the second one, I think it has some of the best action. So like, I'm a big fan of this whole franchise. I love The Matrix. And yes, very defining film of that era and of modern filmmaking. Any other thoughts on The Matrix? I mean, it's an amazing movie. Any thoughts?
I saw it for the first time like 2 or 3 years ago. And like even knowing all the parodies, all the thing that riffed off of it, it still holds up. I was still wowed by how much I loved it, and that I think that above everything just shows how iconic it is. That even when you know the iconography, it still holds up and it's still amazing.
Yeah, Kerri, any thoughts?
Yeah, this is a great pick, and yeah, I was really young, but I do remember like how big of a deal this movie was when it came out and how much it changed like the action genre, and like to me it's like one of the defining movies of the genre. And just watching it, especially as an adult, like it's just brilliantly written. Like there's so many great metaphors and messages in this movie. I think so to have just not only the action in it, but to have kind of the dialogue and the philosophical portions of it as well is really, really brilliant.
Yeah. Kelsey, have you seen this one?
I haven't, because for the longest time, the concept of this movie really, really freaked me out, because I thought that I was gonna like walk away from it and be like, oh my God, am I in a vat of goo somewhere? And it's just my life has been like a simulation. Like I just don't think I'd be able to handle that. I mean, maybe now, like now that I'm older, I can distinguish between reality and fantasy. But I was just reading up on it on like Wikipedia, and I love how they described it. It was like they said a cyberpunk subgenre of like action film. And I was like, ooh, that sounds really
It was big in the late 90s. Cyberpunk.
Yeah, welcome to the 90s. Yeah, that's so fun. Yeah, great pick. I mean, and the visuals still hold up too, which is impressive, especially given some of the other movies around that time, like Star Wars prequels and Dungeons and Dragons 2000, which I had to watch for frame rec. Like
even now, over 20 years later, we still refer to things as a glitch in the Matrix, red pill, blue pill. Like that's how influential and iconic it is. So
love that. All right, damn, shoot. All right, I got my 2 comedies off the board, and now I'm kind of regretting not taking one of them as a drama because I still have other comedies I want to pick, but I got to go with a drama, and this is really, really tough because there's one I want to pick, but it's co-directed, and I don't want to keep giving, I don't want 2 movies on my list that are co-directed, but then again, you know what? They're my favorite directorial duo, so I'm going to pick it. It's my favorite sports film ever, and not many people know about it. I think Karly's the only other one here who has seen it.
Yep.
It's a movie from the late 2000s, directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. Anna Boden, a great director, a great woman director, directed Captain Marvel, and I think that's another reason this film hasn't been overseen is because a lot of people are like, ew, Captain Marvel, but not realizing that they've done so much good indie work as well, even though I like Captain Marvel. But I'm not picking Captain Marvel. I'm picking Sugar. It's called Sugar. It's a baseball film from the late 2000s. It's my favorite sports movie. Since it's not very well known, I'm going to tell y'all what it is. It's about this Dominican Republic baseball pitcher who basically... for those who don't really know a lot about how like the Major League Baseball works, is a lot of the incoming talent they have that they add to their rosters are kids from different countries. Like the Dominican Republic is a very popular one. Just some other lesser status countries that get brought into like what they call the farm system, where they kind of like basically build these players to be major league contenders. But what I think a lot of films don't capture, a lot of films capture like the hoorah of the game and like the glory of the game and the beauty and nostalgia of baseball. But a lot of people don't focus on the immigrant experience and how sometimes tough that can be. And this film is all about less about baseball and more so about this guy just kind of like trying to navigate the rural West, like Midwest, while also like being young, because these kids are like right out of high school and like coming from poverty to now be in a world where like you're staying in a house where you have more than 3 outfits to wear, and you have to like go to a diner and don't know how to order eggs because you just have never had to order anything off a menu. It's always been your bread and rice for the day. Like, it's such a beautiful film that really understands empathy, which I really, really love. And the baseball stuff is really good. There's really great baseball stuff in it, especially because he is kind of this underdog who has to like kind of go through the trials and tribulations to get to be a great baseball player. But even like the films about Jackie Robinson, it deals a lot with racism in America, but he was an American guy. Whereas like this is a whole nother thing, because now it's racism and there's a whole language barrier, a whole cultural barrier, and it's so beautiful to watch, and it's such a well done film. I'm a big fan of Captain Marvel, especially for the more indie moments, but I think this is their strongest work they've done. They've done some other great films that I won't spoil in case anyone else pick their movies, but I really love them as a duo. I think they bring a lot of good empathy and humanity, so I do recommend this. I think Karly's the only one who's seen this one because I recommended it to her and she watched it. But I really, really love this film, and especially if you're a sports movie fan, I think you're really gonna like this one because it's a different type of sports movie, but it still has that great, feel of an emotional sports movie while also just bringing insight to such an interesting and not talked about enough topic, especially with opening day baseball. The day this is airing is the day of opening day MLB baseball, so I wanted to give it a spotlight.
Nice.
This and A League of Their Own would be a cool double feature to support women and also support the sport. I know, Karly, you've seen it. Do you have any words about Sugar that you want to add?
Nothing specific other than I remember really liking it, and it's a really interesting story. And if you like sports, if you like baseball, then I think you'd really enjoy this film. I think that's a great pick, and not just because I'm very excited you didn't take mine.
I assume the rest of you haven't seen this because not many people have. It's very rarely on streaming. When it becomes like on streaming, I like tell people about it. I'm like, watch it before it's gone. But really, really good movie. So I highly recommend it. And that's like my personal pick. I was like, you know what, I gotta stick with my personal picks, and that's the point of draft day. Some people game it, some people make it strategic, but I think at the end this is a personal draft. All right, Karly, I didn't pick what you were gonna pick, so what were you gonna pick? You don't have to pick what you were gonna pick, but you can.
I snatched up the other Greta Gerwig film that I know everyone's thinking about, Little Women, which I love so much. It's so good. Like, I loved it so much that I tried reading the book, and I was not really a fan of the book just because the prose was a bit difficult for me. But I mean, it's so good. Like, I mean, just look at the cast: Florence Pugh. I was struggle with her name. Saoirse Ronan. Saoirse Ronan. Yeah. Emma Watson. Like, Timothée Chalamet, Laura Dern. Like, this cast is insanely good. It's probably the thing that made me fall in love with Florence Pugh. It balances the story so well for like the flashbacks versus the present day. Like, it just, like, you're always so curious about what's happening in both timelines. I love the changes it makes with the ending. Like, it's so cool. Like it made me love the character of Amy, and I've heard from other adaptations that usually you don't love Amy, but Florence Pugh and the writing, it's so good. Like, she took a story that's been told time and time again and made it amazing. It is a crime that she was not nominated for Best Director for this, because she just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful pick. Any other thoughts on Little Women? Anyone?
Does anybody want to talk about Little Women? Because they can go before me.
Yeah, Kerri, did you have something to say about them?
Oh, I was just gonna say it's a great pick. It's a really amazing movie, and like I've tried to read the book as well and have not been able to get through it. But just to see the characters brought to life, and like the cast is brilliant. And it's just a gorgeous film.
Yeah, there's one thing that you can be sure about Greta Gerwig, and that she is going to make a beautiful picture. I just feel like her shots, and specifically with Little Women, the costumes, I feel, are the most impressive thing to come out of that movie. Yep. I mean, I think obviously performance is number one, you remember from that movie, obviously, but then the other thing that sticks out in my mind is the costuming and just how everyone looked just so regal, and you can tell that they like what they were wearing also influenced them with their acting and their like physique and all of that. And it's just so impressive. It's a really great pick. Really solid pick. It's rightfully so. This movie should be on someone's list for this.
Karly, was this your drama or comedy? Because it could be kind of either. Drama.
Drama. Yeah, I have another thing in mind for comedy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's dramatic.
It's definitely a drama.
Yeah. I mean, there's moments of comedy, but yeah, I agree. It's a drama. Stacy, thoughts?
So, I haven't seen this Little Women completely. I've seen bits and pieces, but I do want to say that the 90s Little Women is also directed by a woman, Gillian Armstrong, and is also fantastic. And nobody talks about it now because of the new one. So I just wanted to bring it up because it's got Winona Ryder, Susan Sarandon, Kirsten Dunst, Annie McDowell, Claire Danes, Christian Bale in a very early role. He was the Laurie of the 90s version of Little Women. And that's, like I said, and it's also excellent. What I have seen of the Greta Gerwig was very, very similar to the 90s one, which is part of why I didn't hold my attention as much, because I watched early Christian Bale a lot. a lot. So, check them both out.
Yeah, I have never read the book either, but and I've never seen the other versions, but from what I've heard, this is such a good adaptation because it also kind of weaves in the making of the book into the actual story of the movie by making Joe a writer in it, which I think is so cool. And I know Joe's probably a writer in the regular text too, but going further to show it kind of the framing device is her writing this book and her then now these events of the movie are more like memories of flashbacks almost essentially.
That's exactly how the 90s one is too.
All right, cool.
She's writing the book. She goes and lives in that boarding house and everything. It's very, very, very close to the same.
Yeah,
just different.
Which I love.
Actors.
And
story
the language is so good. And Karly, you make a good point. Amy is not likable, but this version makes her likable because Florence Pugh, I think, is a lot to bring to that for that reason. But also Greta Gerwig, I think she makes characters that are normally kind of the annoying characters likable. I mean, Lady Bird would normally be like the supporting character in another movie that would be kind of annoying, oh, there's that girl, but she's the lead of it and she's awesome and she's lovable and has so many layers. I think that's what Greta Gerwig does so well. So I'm excited to see Barbie and what she does with that. It'll be so good. I'm so excited. Karly, what's going to be your next pick? You have your two dramas and your genre vacancy of comedies left.
Before we move on to the next pick, I just wanted to say the scene about where Florence Pugh is just talking about how marriage is an economic proposition. I've probably rewatched that scene on YouTube 25 times. It's just so good. Oh my gosh, Florence Pugh, give her an Oscar at some point, please.
I hope so.
Oh, give her many Oscars.
She'll be Meryled by the end of her career, I'm sure. Karly, what's going to be your first of your two comedy picks?
All right. This is hard. There's one I think the one I really, really love will still be there at the end. Because not many people love it, but okay. All right. I think my other sorry.
No, you're good. Talk it up. I love it.
Can't remember. Did I have Is Shiva Baby a comedy?
Yes,
I can't remember.
Oh,
I have it under comedy.
Yes. Yep. All right. I'm going to take Shiva Baby because I think that's more likely to be taken.
It was my number 4 comedy after my 2 and Shrek.
Yeah.
So.
Gosh. I can't remember. Dyl, did you recommend Shiva Baby to me? I know someone did. I can't remember.
I saw it early, right when it came out on the festival circuit, so probably, but
I think you did, yeah,
because it's also so short that I'm like, guys, check out Shiva Baby, and it's so Jewish too that I have a lot of Jewish friends. I could be like, yo, watch this. Emma Seligman is the director.
Yes.
Yeah, it's oh my gosh, it's just such a good film. You should not watch it if you don't want to watch a bunch of awkward scenes that are going to make you uncomfortable, because that's essentially the entire movie. But it's just it's such a unique thing while also being super relatable. Like you said, it's very Jewish. It's amazing because you don't usually see those types of stories highlighted so much. I love how contained it is. It's essentially a bottle movie. Like, it takes place in like one location other than I think the first scene. It's, oh my gosh. And Emma Siegelman, I'm very excited. She has an upcoming movie called Bottoms, which is about a female fight club, a gay female fight club, I believe. And there's no movie I'm more excited for at the moment than that, because it sounds like I remember seeing the synopsis. I was like, this was made for me. This movie is just for me.
And Rachel Sennot's going to be in that one too. And
yes,
she's so good. She's
so good. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I just love this film. It's not, I'm sure it's a film that not a ton of people know about, but they should. More people should watch it. It's really fantastic.
Yeah. I love it. I love the fact that it's so contained, like you said, like, and it plays with sound so well, where you have like 30 different conversations on top of one another. Like, if you're a big like sensory person, it probably won't be a good film. Like, I know some people that have like watched it and have been overwhelmed by it because it's so tense, even though it's really just a family drama at the Shiva. But like, that's what's so funny about it too, is because it's like, it's a funeral, it's a Shiva, and all this stuff is happening all at once, and there's relationships, and she finds out the guy she's sleeping with has a wife, and it's Diana Agron from Glee, and she has a baby, and it's like just all this shit going wrong all at once. And my favorite scene is after the Shiva, when they're all going home, and the dad is like, oh, we have extra room in our car, do you want to ride? And like offers to give a ride to the girl, to the guy that his daughter is with, that, and his wife that he's cheating on her with, and like they're all stuffed into this car, and it's hard to describe it. But when you watch it,
I remember staring at Diana Agron's face, being like, is that Quinn from Glee? Because I had the biggest crush on her when I was a teenager. I was like, is that Quinn from Glee? Because it looked very similar, but I couldn't quite place her face because I haven't seen her in a bunch of things. But yeah.
I'm glad she got that comeback she deserved. Anyone else seen this movie? Kerri, have you seen this?
Yeah, this was actually my number 3.
Nice.
If I couldn't get my other 2, this is the next one I would have picked. It's hilarious, and normally I really hate watching stuff that's kind of cringe, but for some reason this, like, I don't know, I think it's just filmed really brilliantly, and like just the way it's done, it made me like not feel so uncomfortable that I couldn't watch it. I was actually just sucked in and like just waiting for the next crazy thing to happen.
Yeah, great. Stacy?
Yeah, this was also on my list. It wasn't as high up as everybody else's, I guess, but it's definitely there. And yeah, like, it's funny because it is a comedy. It's definitely a comedy. It's very funny. The awkwardness is done so well to be funny and not off-putting, but it's also like suspenseful in a way. There's so much tension that it's like, it's kind of crazy to like be laughing, but be so tense and like, just like, oh my God, what is going to happen? Because you just really don't know. In the scene at the end that you mentioned, the car, yeah, that really stands out a lot. And Karly said most of it. I mean, the awkwardness, the bottle episode, it all lends itself perfectly to the story. And Rachel Sennott, this is where I think most of us first saw her. And I've been following what she's doing ever since. She's fantastic.
Yeah, Kelsey,
great hit, Karly.
So I have homework at the end of the draft day. I have to see A Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I have to see The Farewell, and now I also have to watch this. Dyl, I remember you getting really excited about this one during 2022. It was nominated for a bunch of things for the Pickle Awards, I think.
It was.
Yeah. So you loved this movie when it first came out. So I was like, I know that's a Dyl Pickle certified fresh. I have to.
You just see the pickle with the glow, like the tomato.
Yeah, it's just you can have that. That's yours. I'm not trademarking that, so feel free. And it's always, this movie has been staring at me every single time I go on HBO Max. I'm pretty sure it's on. And it's just
is it her staring at you with the cream cheese dress with the bagels?
And she's holding the bagel like this. Yeah, you can see it it's burned in my brain. So I'm like, I just need to bite the bullet and watch it because you all have sold me. So
it's less than 70 minutes. Like, you can watch it.
So good.
You can probably watch it, and by the end of it, this draft day will be wrapping up. So
Good to
put it
know.
on right now.
All right, let me just pull up another tab. Hold on.
Oh shoot, it's me. No. I'm gonna go with another drama. Um, you know what? There's only so many films that women direct that win Best Picture. So I feel like as an Oscar fiend, I have to give my credit to Chloe Zhao's Nomadland. I don't necessarily know if this is my favorite of the list that I have left, but it's definitely the one that I think is so monumental because up till now was only one other film that had been directed by a woman that won Best Picture and won Best Director, which we haven't even brought up yet, but might be brought up and might not. And that's not really my cup of tea, that film. But this one was big because it was like the first time in a while that a woman won Best Director. And then we saw it the very next year happen for another film, which I won't bring up in case it gets brought up. But I really like this film. I think it's so beautiful, especially what it has to say about a specific community. I feel like I just said all this about Sugar. Like, it's a very small group of people you don't see a lot of in cinema. And the fact that she filmed this while also making a big Marvel film at the same time is like just still so cool to me. Frances McDormand. It's funny because Stacy and I picked the two films directed by women about women and that had a lead actress up against one another. It was Carey Mulligan versus Nomadland, or versus Frances McDormand. And I did prefer Frances because I just connected with her so much. But I mean, that was such a great year for women directed films. It's been a great few years. And Coda was already taken also. So I wanted to, throw another women directed Best Picture winner up there because there's only been 3 now. So it's really, really great though. And it's so beautifully shot, and I love how they use actual nomads as the actors. Like Frances McDormand and David Strathairn are the only actors in this film. The rest are like actual nomads that like auditioned and had roles written basically around them and for them. Swanky is my favorite of them, the woman who has terminal cancer and is like, wanting to like go to this cave with these birds, and you see how like she finally gets it, and it's so good. I really like it. It's a tough watch, but it's a good watch, especially in the pandemic. It felt fitting as a Best Picture winner because it kind of dealt with like a similar thing that people were that was going on in the world at the time, like especially with Amazon and there's so much topical stuff in that movie. So I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of Chloe Zhao. Nomadland. Any other thoughts?
I had a feeling you would pick this one. Because I remembered you really liking it the year when it was up for Oscars. I was like, I think Dill's going to pick that one. I don't love this one. I think obviously it's well made. It's really great film, but I am more of a fan of one of Chloe Zhao's other films, which I probably won't pick, but I will definitely mention when we get to honorable mentions because she's a great director and she's particularly great with working with non-actors and making a film around non-actors. Like, she's done it more than once, which is insanely impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Any other thoughts on Nomadland? Anyone?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I haven't seen it, so you go.
It's a really beautiful film, and that's a great pick. And I agree with you, Dylan. Like, my favorite parts of that movie are like with Swanky, and those are the hardest parts to watch, but I think just so touching and amazing. And she's just a brilliant filmmaker. I can't wait to see what she does next.
For sure. Kelsey, have you seen this one?
I remember trying to watch this movie, but I think I was hungover or something. So I wasn't
not a good hangover.
I wasn't fully committed. And I just remember I was like, I don't think I'm in the right headspace to watch this. So I had to like switch over to like New Girl or something, like less intense.
Also created by a woman. Great show.
Also created by a woman. So but maybe I'll give this one another go when I'm in the right state of mind.
All good. All right.
Isn't her next film Dracula, or isn't she doing a Dracula thing next?
I think she's trying to adapt, Dracula or Wolfman or one of those. I think Dracula,
I'm very excited.
But not Nick Cage Dracula. That's coming out.
No, that's different.
Yeah.
I'm ridiculous.
It's hard to keep it all in my brain. So many Draculas, so many Cages. All right, Stacy, you have one of each, so you just need another drama and another comedy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with my other drama, which honestly, this could have been my drama, my comedy, or my genre film. Just part of why it is so great. And it's an out of the box pick for drama for sure. But it's American Psycho by Mary Harron.
I knew Stacy was gonna pick this one. I just felt it in my bones.
Somebody, first of all, like, it has to be picked. It has to be
Yeah.
talked about. This movie has to be talked about whenever possible. I don't even know where to begin. It is insane that this works. It's in the book. Bret Easton Ellis, I think, is his name, the writer of the book. I think it has a more, from what I understand, I haven't read it, but from what I understand, it's not as vague an ending as the movie. But I mean, they make comparing business cards a thing that works for humor, and his Huey Lewis in the News, it's the best use of that since Back to the Future. He's just so, he just gets so crazy by the end. Like, he doesn't even know what's real. The audience doesn't know what's real. And it's just done so fantastically. And then you have Chloe Sevigny in a supporting role. Is it Reese Witherspoon, I think, in a supporting role, plays his fiance or girlfriend. Obviously, Jared Leto, which I know a lot of people don't like, but he's not bad in the movie. It's just fantastic. It's a fantastic movie. And it's a dark comedy. It's a I guess horror, because there's a lot of murder. The scene where he's with the prostitutes and he's watching himself in the mirror while having sex, and he's just like, it's hysterical. It's hysterical.
I don't know if you told my reaction to all this. I've never seen it, so I'm like,
You've never
just reacting
seen it?
to everything you're
I
saying.
haven't seen it either.
I'm glad I can't
Now
give
we got
away the
homework.
end, because the end is so open to interpretation that I can't spoil it, because I don't really know what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the vibe of the movie, though, I get like either drama or horror thriller, but like drama makes sense. Like, it's not like genre in the way.
I looked it up to make
otherworldly.
sure, and it actually on IMDb said crime, drama, thriller, or something.
Yeah, no,
But I mean, I don't know crime because he kills people. I don't like, it's not like a mafia movie, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
But it is very much a dark comedy as well. Like, it's meant to be funny.
Cool. So you're picking it as your drama, though, or your comedy?
I'm picking it as my drama.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I have my one left as a comedy.
Nice. Kerri, have you seen this one? I mean, obviously you have. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a great pick. And I don't know. Whenever I watch this movie, I never think to put it on, like, it's never my suggestion to put it on, because something about it just makes me so uncomfortable. Like, the guys in it are just, they're so creepy, and they're just like, I mean, and even in that scene with the business cards and all of their scenes together, it's like, it's meant to be like darkly funny, but it's also like rings true, and like, just kind of that era of kind of Wall
It takes
Street
place in the 80s.
Or
for those who haven't seen it, it takes place, it's Wall Street era, 80s. They're Wall Street guys, just to give you a little bit of context here.
So they do a lot of coke, huh?
Not in the movie, but it's talked about. I think they do some in the movie.
Do coke though, right?
And it's like that culture where they're so superficial that they don't even really know each other's names. Like, people get called by the wrong name and just go with it, and like permanently think people are other people, which lends partly to like the whole breakdown of everything in the end. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Nice. Kelsey, have you seen this?
I haven't. When I was last minute curating my list, it had crossed my mind a bunch. And I like just said out loud, I was thinking out loud, I was sitting in the living room with my dad, and I was like, should I just watch American Psycho right now and just like see what all the hubbubaloo is about? And he was like, why would you watch American Psycho for like a woman's director? And I was like, Dad, it was directed by a woman. And he was like, what? So
yeah, it's surprising.
I blew my dad's mind with that.
I even have the pop Christian Bale from this movie.
Do you really?
Yes,
wow.
I do. Kelsey, why did you know I would pick it if you haven't even seen it?
Well, because I feel like you mentioned it during the ABC draft day in the comments.
Oh, I did probably.
And I feel like I don't know. I just felt like you in this movie. I was getting vibes. I was
love that.
I was picking up an energy. I was like, I feel like Stacy really likes this movie,
Mm.
so I'm
I
just
love
gonna let
that.
her have.
Because also with a lot of these movies, they're all a lot of them coming out in the 2010s because that's when we really started to give Hollywood gave a lot more opportunities to women.
Mhm.
So like there's very I don't want to say few, but some more lesser popular ones over the previous few decades to where like this one's like one of those shining ones from like that turn of the century, like this and The
Yeah, it's
Matrix. Like
2000.
I think it made a bigger statement back then because there were so few big releases directed by women at the time to where like this is really stands out. And I know Stacey, you like talked about like living through that, like The Matrix and this movie, like seeing them big because this is a big hit, right?
I mean, it was definitely a hit with a certain like horror
Right.
film nerd type of crowd. I don't know if it was necessarily a big box office hit, but I
Gotcha.
was in the theater.
Yeah, I was
can
gonna ask
tell you
Kerri
that.
too because I knew she was alive, but I was like, no, you were still like 8 years old, right? When this
Yeah,
came out or something like
I
that.
am.
Yeah.
Do this in the theater.
Yeah.
I think it's
Good. I don't think an 8-year-old should go see
awesome.
this. I haven't even seen it, and I can tell you an 8-year-old should not go see this
No,
movie.
definitely
But-
not.
And
Not
also,
even my
Someone
kids.
brought their 8-year-old.
Ugh.
But
and I feel
Um,
like part of the reason why I haven't seen this movie is because, and I know probably the only thing they have in common is that they both take place on Wall Street, but it gives the same energy to me as The Wolf of Wall Street, where it just feels like a guys movie where it's like men. But because like now knowing it's directed by a woman, I'm like, oh, that makes me want to see it. Like immediately.
Yeah.
Like that like changes my perception of this movie entirely and like makes me want to see it. So
it's
it's
very
so
much
interesting. Sorry.
yeah. It's not as much of a glamorous. It's like more of a critique, I think, than a glamorization
Oh,
of
it's
it.
satire.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
definitely a critique.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the book is written by a man. And honestly, when the
Oh.
movie came out, the author of the book was promoted more than the director of the movie as like
Oh.
it being their movie, you know?
Yeah. That is cool
but
though,
yeah.
that like a woman adapting a man's work to see how that like kind of repaints the context. Like I love that idea. I love that in cinema.
And fun fact for
yeah.
anybody that might ever want to do a double feature, the writer of the book wrote another book called The Laws of Attraction, which was also adapted with James Van Der Beek and Ian Somerhalder. And the lead character in that is the brother of the lead character in American Psycho.
Oh.
So if you ever want to do a double feature of American Psycho and Laws of Attraction, they're very different style movies. One's like a college movie, but it's fun.
Cool.
They're both fun.
Cool. Nice. All right, Kerri, you've got one drama left and one genre flick.
Okay. I'll go with my drama next. And I'm gonna go with Selma from Ava DuVernay. This is just really an incredible movie. I don't know. I just love how she depicted kind of, I don't know, a variety of points of view, I think, from, the events of Selma, and kind of took a more realistic view than maybe we've gotten in the past of Martin Luther King Jr. and the events that surrounded this. But it's just a very, very powerful film. And she's an incredible director. Like I wish, some more of her projects could have been eligible for this. Like When They See Us is, a TV money series. So doesn't really count, but this movie is just amazing. And it can be difficult to watch, but I think it's just such an important film.
Yeah, she's a great voice in cinema, especially for Black cinema. It's really awesome to see what she's up to. I know people didn't love Wrinkle in Time, and I sorry if I spoil that if anyone else is picking that, but I don't know if anyone will. But I still am really excited to see what she does. I haven't seen this since it like first came out, so I can't really speak too much on it. I just remember the performances being really, really strong, and that song that they got Common to write and John Legend that won the Oscars, like amazing. But I just love her direction, and she has some other movies too that I'm not going to spoil in case anyone else picks, but she's great. Any other thoughts on Selma?
One thing that not many people know is she literally had to rewrite Martin Luther King's speeches because she didn't have the rights to them. So she had to look at the speeches and try to rewrite them in such a way that it feels the same because she didn't have the rights to them for whatever reason, which is insane to me.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's incredible. That's like when, yeah, wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Anyone else thoughts on Selma? Have you all seen it or no?
I haven't seen it.
I
If
have
I
not
had
seen it.
had more prep time for this, it was on my list to watch, but I didn't get to.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a great watch. I can't wait to watch it again for Picture This when we get around to that year, because I feel like it also like didn't get as many Oscar nominations as it should have. Like I don't think David Oyelowo got nominated, which is ludicrous. But yeah, great pick. All right, Kelsey, you get to round out your draft board. You have one comedy left, I believe, and one genre film. So you get to like close it out for you.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna pick my second comedy. I'm so glad. So at a certain point, I stopped scrolling on like top 100 lists, whatever, and I just started going by like director names, clicking on them, and then looking at their work. And this name caught my eye, and I was like, why does this name look so familiar? Like, what? Where could I have seen this? And it was because I submitted. Okay, so I was like a big BuzzFeed girly in high school, and they had this like, they had like one of their like they were making one of their listicles, and they were like, tell us about a rom-com that you love that like isn't like a stereotypical rom-com, like whatever, or like something like that. And I like submitted an answer, and the movie that I gave, which is my favorite rom-com of all time, directed by Anne Fletcher, is The Proposal. Starring Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. And they
Is that your pick?
Yeah, that's my pick.
Nice.
And BuzzFeed actually used my response, so I like made a little listicle on BuzzFeed. So I don't know, I felt really proud about that. Anyway, so yes, my pick for my comedy is The Proposal. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I came across this movie. Because it is my favorite rom-com of all time, because A number 1, Sandra Bullock, A number 2, Ryan Reynolds. A number 3, she's just like this badass like boss lady who needs to like fake this like green card marriage so she can like keep being the CEO at the company that they work at. And like obviously because it's Ryan Reynolds, like hilarity ensues. Betty White is in it, R.I.P. She's hilarious in it. And it just makes me so like warm and happy, and I just love it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in so long. I want to revisit it. But I think we watched it on our bus ride to Disney World, Kels, right? Didn't we?
Yeah, maybe.
I think our choir teacher, Mr. Raff, played it for us. He was like, I want to watch A Proposal. We're like, okay.
All I can think of is the scene where Betty White is just around the campfire, and she's like, ee, ooh, ooh, ah. Ee, ooh, ooh, ah. And then like Sandra Bullock's like, to the window. It's so funny.
I love the reenactment. Thank you for that. Anyone
welcome.
else? The Proposal? Anyone else remember it fondly? I wish I remembered it better, because I would have loved to talk about it. But
I haven't seen it since it was like new, so I don't really remember it that well.
Oh.
I remember enjoying it.
Yeah,
I remember them being charming together.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in theaters, and I remember I really did not like romantic comedies at the time, and I remember being like pleasantly surprised by it, and like it actually made me laugh.
Yeah,
Karly?
It's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah, when I saw it was back when I wasn't really into movies and I didn't pay attention, and it was just like, whatever.
Yeah. I just remember one scene where they're like naked and they fall on one another. That's all I remember. I don't know why that's the one I remember. Maybe because I was a young boy when I saw it. I was like, oh, Sandra Bullock's naked. Like that's my stupid. Like I wish I was older. My older self could have yelled at my younger self, like, "Yo, there's more to Titanic than just But now I know there's more to Titanic, because it's such a brilliant movie. That we can't pick that because.
I wish I would pick it first.
Kelsey, you get your final pick now. Your genre film. What would you like?
Right. Oh my gosh. I have so many good options under this category. If I do say so myself, in my very biased opinion. But this is a movie that I came across that I hadn't realized was directed by a woman. And maybe it's recency bias that's like really made it my number 1 pick. But I just like loved this movie. It has one of my favorite actors in it, Sebastian Stan.
Oh, I know what you're going with.
And it's Fresh.
Yeah, Mimi Cave, baby.
Nice.
Which I was like, oh my God, that's so cool that a woman directed this movie, because I feel like I'm going to go back and watch it now, and it's just going to like mean so much more. And I feel like it's going to make Sebastian Stan even like that much more like cruel almost. Like I don't know. Like this is a good delicious movie.
Good choice of words.
Yum yum yum.
Yeah.
Tasty
I
little
feel like it
snack
has
this
to, like,
movie was.
it makes so much sense that it's directed by a woman because like it all is kind of the same thing as like Promising Young Woman, like
Yeah.
men
Empowering.
taking advantage of women, type thing. Like it's harrowing and horrifying, but has good comedy in it too, like a morbid sense of dark comedy where like he's dancing
Yeah.
around cutting up the meat and he's like singing to himself. It's like so twisted and gross, but he's so good in that movie. And Daisy Edgar
Yeah.
Jones is so good in that movie too.
Yeah.
She doesn't get
Yeah.
enough credit. She's amazing. Except I don't know how she could recover that fast and run around after getting her something taken off.
Ugh,
Yeah,
don't even
That's
talk
like a-
about it.
it's like a
My
continuity error where I'm like, wait, how would
Right.
she be able to run?
Adrenaline. Adrenaline, Dyl.
Adrenaline. The adrenaline kicked in.
Good point.
Yeah.
Until we get period
Will to
cramps every
survive.
month, we could run around missing our keisters, all right? That pain,
Fair
that
enough.
doesn't compete, all right?
Fair enough. Any thoughts on Fresh though? It's very fresh on all of our minds, I'm sure, because it just came
Oh,
out.
I'm glad it was picked. I'm glad it was picked and brought up, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Okay, I need to stop calling these like horrific movies. You know, I'm not a rom-com girl. I'm like people getting chopped up.
Daisy Edgar Jones sips the drink, passes out. How fun is this?
That's right.
Different strokes for different folks. No judgment
No.
here.
I love a
Um,
good horrific movie, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrie, any thoughts on Fresh?
Yeah, it is kind of a fun movie though, right? Like because it is kind of a satire, and it is. I think parts of this movie are meant to be kind of funny.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of like love those movies that you walk away and you just like feel the residue of it. You know what I mean? Like, because you walk away from this movie and you just feel like I'm happy, like whatever, like, you know, the ending, like whatever. But like, you just feel like so kind of like icky. And like, I don't know, I love movies that like, you know, kind of like resonate with you even after they're over. And that's certainly like this movie's one of those.
Definitely, you need to watch American Psycho as soon as possible.
I think I might actually watch it right after this. Like, you know, like
You
dead ass.
do tell me what you think.
Oh,
Well, she's probably
yeah.
she's probably 30 minutes into Shiva Baby already, so in a half hour she'll be able to watch. All right, Carrie, you get to pick your genre pick right now. Which is tough, 'cause
Okay.
I know you're like the queen of. You and Stacy are like the horror queens. I know. So, tell us, what are you gonna pick, or are you gonna go for sci-fi or action?
I'm trying to decide what to
So-
go with. It's all horror on my genre list.
I
That's
figured.
not a surprise. Choosing though is difficult. I think what I'm gonna go with though is the Babadook, which was directed by Jennifer Kent. This movie, it's just so terrifying. But it also is just a fantastic metaphor for grief and depression and healing after a family experiences trauma. It has one of like the most annoying child performances ever, but I think that's also like fairly realistic. And I don't know, just to combine all of that, it's just a really brilliant indie film. And it brought us I think some iconic imagery in the form of the Babadook as well.
Yeah, scary. I watched it for October the first time this past October for Halloween. Scary. Yeah, it's scary, but it's good. It's really, really good. I mean, that's like on like Toni Collette, Lupita Nyong'o for Us level. Like, should have been nominated, but didn't because of horror performances. Like, I love her performance in that. It's so good. Anyone else? The Babadook?
I need to talk about this movie a lot.
Do it.
It was doing double duty for me on my list. I actually ultimately had it under drama, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because this movie hit me in a very unexpected way. Maybe a TMI. I've dealt with depression. As we've already stated, I have kids. One is a young boy. As having been a mother with depression, I cried through half this movie, then texted my daughter and apologized. Like, it hit me in such a visceral way. Like, I'm going to tear up now talking about it. Oh my God.
I'm tearing up.
That like, I I can't even explain what a good job it does of showing that. I know, I've never dealt with the grief, the loss, what she was dealing with in the movie. But like one scene that just stuck out so much to me was when she's lying in bed and she can't get out of bed and her kid needs dinner or breakfast or something, and needs some sort of meal. And I've been there, and you don't feel good about it. Let me tell you, like, it's bad. And it's just an incredible portrayal of it. And yes, it's a horror movie, but for me, it was so much more than a horror movie. And like I said, ultimately it went under drama because I'll never watch it again, but it's great.
That's beautiful. Yeah, great stuff. Karly or Kelsey, have you seen this one? No.
I'm a big horror person. It makes me sad that you didn't call me a horror queen as well, but whatever.
Sorry, Karly, you are also a horror queen. I apologize.
But yeah, I love horror, and this is a fantastic horror film. There is another Jennifer Kent horror film that I prefer to this. Oh, it might be more of a thriller, but it's still fantastic movie. I feel like, there's always shouting it out when you talk about this, what you like to call elevated horror. That the Babadook's usually the first thing that comes to mind when someone talks about that. And yeah, it's just such a sad and iconic and horrifying movie that it's like, it's next level.
Yeah, Karly, I just want to say I don't consider you one of my top scream queens because I think of you in other ways, like as like Pride films queen. I'm like, if I'm thinking of gay films, I'm thinking of Karly, and High School Musical queen. Like I'm like, yes, Karly. High School Musical.
I'll take that.
Yeah, so that's why. Yeah.
You can't have it all, Karly. It can't be everything.
Everyone has like their niche. Like honestly,
Right.
yeah, it's like Kerri. I'm like, that's a horror niche, and Stacy is more like horror and Lord of the Rings, and then Karly, I'm like queer films and High School Musical, and now horror. And Kelsey, obviously Marvel, but yeah, y'all are very special people in my life. Kelsey, what do you think of the Babadook? Have you seen the Babadook or no?
I haven't seen the Babadook only because in high school we had a film class in high school that I took. Did you take the film class too with Peggy?
Not with Peggy. I took it with Miss Balsero.
Oh, anyway, so there was like one day where like the film like club like had a viewing of it or something, and you for extra credit in the film class you could go to the viewing of the Babadook and like write a paper on it or something. And my
What a
two
weird
friends
movie to send kids to.
Yeah,
Okay.
my two friends who were in the class with me, Jess and Candace, went to the extra credit thing, and they just told me how much they hated it. So I was like, oh, okay. So I guess I don't have to watch this movie. They obviously probably just like didn't get it.
Well,
So,
it's like what Karly said though.
it's
It's like elevated. It's elevated horror. So it's like it's not elevated horror in the sense that it's like above anyone else, but it's like a different kind of horror where it's not like your traditional horror to where I get high school girls who are doing it for
right
credit aren't gonna gel with it as much. But
right. So
I will say my daughter saw it in high school like long before I did, and she loved it, but she was also exposed to like Silence of the Lambs when she was like 12. So no, not 12, but young.
younger.
Fairly young. Shining when she was 12, probably.
Her first words were "Hello, Clarice." All right.
Oh my God, terrifying.
Stacey, I believe you have a drama left, correct? No,
that is correct. No, that's wrong. I have a comedy left. Do I need to go over my picks still? I know they're kind of weird.
I just need to remember what categories things belong in because I'm just writing all in the same color, which doesn't help.
Oh God, do I want to go pure heart, or do I want to go? All right, I'm gonna go with what I have down as my third pick, which is. You know what, though? We've already talked about one of her movies. All right. You know what? No, I'm going to go a different way because we already talked about one of this director's movies, and I want to spread the love. So I'm going to go Booksmart by Olivia Wilde.
Oh, nice.
If you've seen it, it's such a great high school coming of age story about two female friends. I haven't seen it in a while, which is why I was hesitant on it being a higher pick because it's, there's so many great sequences in it though that are just so goddamn funny. Like particularly when they're tripping on whatever. I don't even remember what they're on, and they're like Barbies or something. I know there's some sort of dolls, and it's got a character who's a lesbian, but it's not a thing. It's not a plot point. It's just that's just what she is, and it's fine. And I love that. I love that it's not in any way made like you just know she is. It's they don't have to
like
make
a coming out movie. That's not the movie's not about her coming out. It's
being a lesbian. So yeah. I mean, I wish I had watched it more recently so I could talk more about it because it is a great movie. I know we watched it for Movie Club. That was probably the last time I watched it, which was the second time I had seen it. So yeah, it's great. You guys talk about it now.
I like it. Karly, I know you've seen this one.
Yes, I love this film. I remember dying laughing the first time I saw it. It's so delightful and so gay. And if I remember correctly, Beanie Feldstein is gay, but the one playing the gay character isn't, which is very funny, and I really appreciate that. Is it Carrie Fisher's daughter's in this, right?
Billy Lord, yeah.
Lord, yes. She's so great in it.
She steals the show. She's amazing. Every time
she's the one that gives him the drugs.
Yeah. Every time she's on screen, I'm just so happy. I'm like, oh God. Like if they gave Best Supporting Actress to comedic performances, she would definitely deserve it.
Yeah. Kerri, any thoughts on Booksmart?
Yeah, I love this movie. It's hilarious, and I think I love the oh my gosh, it's Caitlin Dever and Bernie Feldstein. Beanie Feldstein, I think they are just absolutely brilliant in this movie. And I love the relationship between their two characters, and it's just just one of those great like coming of age, like kind of single night stories.
Kelsey, any thoughts on Booksmart?
Yeah, it was definitely an option on my list. I just hadn't seen it in a minute, so it was a little further down. But I remember really liking it. I remember like I watched it, and like the first thought I had, I was like, this is kind of like the girl Superbad, like the female's version of Superbad, which was it was just delightful.
Well, and Beanie Feldstein, Jonah Hill's sister. So,
yeah. Wait.
It was actually my fifth for the same reason, just because it had been a minute. But
are you learning things again, Kels?
No. I thought that I knew that they were related, but I didn't know that they were brother and sister. I thought they were like cousins.
I believe his name is Jonah Feldstein, I think, or something else Feldstein. Like his name might not even be Jonah Hill. But
I constantly forget that fun fact, and then someone says it, and I just relearn it. I'm like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, they also look exactly alike, so that makes sense.
There we go. Jonah Hill, by the way, big person in the news. We won't get into it, but wild.
Oh God. What am I about to
just look up Jonah Hill on Google, Kelsey. You'll see all the articles.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything.
No. He didn't do anything at all.
He didn't do anything.
Jonah Hill and Kanye.
We might as well talk about it. I mean, Kanye is no longer anti-Semitic because he watched 21 Jump Street and said he was so moved by Jonah Hill's performance that he no longer hates Jews. And I think that's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Like it's a funny headline, but also like I don't
oh
know.
God.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, my final pick. This is another like personal, like not gonna be on anyone else's list, but I don't care. It's my list for genre film. I was saving this for last because I know no one else would pick it, but it was my favorite movie of 2021. It's a French film. Sorry, Karly. Portrait's not going to be the only French film on this list. It's called Titan. It is by a director, Julia Ducournau, who directed another film. And since everyone's picked their genre films, I'll say her other film, Raw. Her film Raw was a big delight. Kind of like fresh, like very like, oh my God, I can't believe what I just watched. I feel skeeved out, but also like had a really interesting nuance about like mental illness and how it's hereditarily passed on that I was like, whoa, this is like really deep. And then I saw this movie Titan, and I went into it being like, oh, it's the movie where the girl fucks a car, because that's what everyone was saying it was. They're like, oh my God, she like fucks the car. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be the silly romp, like camp romp. But then I watched it, I'm like, no, like this is some deep shit. This is like, the basic premise is that she is a criminal who is like abused and mistreated by men and like takes it out on all the men. She's like a vigilante or whatever, and then she's like basically on the hunt. Like they want to like she's like wanted, and there's like wanted posters of her all over the place. So in order to kind of go into hiding and not be caught by the police, she literally breaks her nose to transform her face to look different, cuts off all her hair, and then like kind of masks as this young man who went missing 10 years ago, a missing child, and like approaches this firefighter that has been looking for his child for 10 years and like basically convinces him that she is the long lost son that went missing 10 years ago. It's such a wild premise, but
Crazy.
through that they bring so much like interesting conversation about gender identity, because she is, you know, posing as a man, and just in familial bonds and what it means to love someone, even though there's like that layer of, does the firefighter man know that this is actually not his real son? Does he just want to like convince himself that it's really his son? Has a lot to say about masculinity in general and toxic masculinity. He is a steroid junkie, and it has a lot to say just about French politics and how women are treated as well. Like I think it's so nuanced and so layered, and there's great horror, and I think that's why it's a genre film. Is, you know, she literally does fuck a car, and then the whole film, the whole conflict is that she's pregnant, she's impregnated, and because she's posing as a man, she has to now try to conceal the fact that she is growing, and she has to try to stay undercover and disguise, but meanwhile she's pregnant and growing. And once you find out what she's actually pregnant with, it's another layer. Like this film is so layered. It's like Kelsey's pick Shrek. It's an onion. It's an ogre. It's layered. It's so good and so masterfully directed, masterfully crafted. The needle drop songs are so good. I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry, but it's so freaking excellent. If you haven't seen it, I didn't spoil the biggest moments, so go watch it. I promise it'll be a fulfilling watch. Even if you don't like it, it'll still be something you'll think about and like that'll actually like perplex you. That's the best I could do to describe Titan. Kelsey, you look confused.
I'm sorry. I just can't believe after all that you compared it to Shrek.
I was saying it's layered, and I was like, ogres have layers.
Okay, so you're using the onion metaphor.
That's the only thing I was using. Yeah, it's not like Shrek at all. No.
Dyl, that is the wackest shit I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, wait. Okay, so the whole premise is that she like. Okay, so I'm looking at pictures, and this shot of like this like little girl, or whoever this is.
That's the backstory. That's her as a kid.
Things.
Yeah, she's in a car accident as a kid, and it kind of starts this fascination and addiction with titanium metal for her. She becomes like, it's almost like a fetish that she builds as a child.
So
that when
naturally,
she grows up,
she has to fuck a car.
Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't know that going in. I didn't know that's
nice.
what it was about. Like when I first watched it, I went in blind.
Completely blind.
I almost wish I also went in blind. Just
Kelsey, I promise it's not as weird as it sounds. It's weird, but it's not like
than it sounds.
But it's still got like real humanity and real character, and like it's got a real drama story.
No, it's a great pick. I'm actually upset I didn't realize it was by a woman and I didn't pick it.
Follow-up question, and it's probably kind of dumb. It's in French.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know.
Okay.
And I think I was like, I mean, the inciting incident there, that the car sex is pretty early on. Mm-hmm. And so I was watching it, and I think I was texting somebody who'd seen it, and I was like, is she gonna fuck this car? And I was just like, is that where this is going?
I'm like, I don't even want to know like the semantics behind
it. Doesn't
like,
look like it's not like the fan fiction when they think about like Lightning McQueen when people write fan fiction about that. Like it's not like that. It's
not
writing fan fiction about Lightning McQueen.
You don't look. I'll just tell you, making a YouTube channel where you're always
Google search history.
Making a YouTube channel where you're always looking for clips and pictures for things can sometimes lead you down some bad alleys. Not on my own volition, but like if I'm doing a video on freaking Pixar's Luca and I'm looking up Pixar pictures and I'm on Reddit, Pinterest, it happens.
All right,
not on my own volition, but no, it is a really, really striking emotion.
Yeah, I mean,
very emotional film. Yep.
It's definitely not for everybody, but I think it is worth seeing if it's for you, because if it's for you, it's really for you. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of
Yeah, it's
those
so unique.
movies.
Yeah, Kelsey,
so unique.
Titan translates to titanium in French. That's what it's called.
Ah,
yeah.
gotcha. That was honestly my next question.
Karly, have you seen this one?
I have. It was not for me. I'm more of a Raw girl than I am a Titan girl. So I really liked Raw, and Titan just kind of went over my head a little bit. I was just like, when is this movie gonna end? Like it bored me more than anything.
Gotcha. Kerri, have you seen this one?
Yeah, and I'll say I'm actually the opposite. I would say I like Titan a little bit more than Raw, which I didn't really expect going into it, just knowing the premise of both of the movies. But I also have a very specific thing about like eating things you're not supposed to be eating, and like freaks me out. So
have you seen Swallow? I don't think you would like that.
I did, and I had to like it's more of a thriller, and I had to look away during
I don't like Swallow.
I haven't seen Raw because I have that same thing about eating things, and I always think I want to watch Raw, and I'm like, but do I really?
There's only like a couple bad parts,
really,
but it's not too bad actually.
I mean, I can know, I just don't want to. I don't want to watch it.
I mean, there are a couple scenes where it's
But Kelsey, if you want to watch this with me, like I will watch it with you because like it's something that's kind of fun to watch with people. Titanium, yeah, whatever.
I am titanium.
I actually have it with me. It was another Blu-ray I was going to display, but it's part of a box set, a neon box set. So I don't.
Oh, is that the Blu-ray I won from?
No,
from
that's still on the shelf waiting for you. But it has actually a really nice like centerfold page actually to it.
Oh, there's a centerfold. Is it of a car? Oh,
no, it's her. But you see the scar of when she was a kid and she like, injured herself in the. Oh, it's so good.
Gotcha.
Oh, it's such a beautiful movie. But yeah, definitely not everyone's cup of tea. But anyway, Karly, you're gonna round us out with your other comedy. What do you got?
All right. So my last comedy. Let me find my notes because this is probably one of my favorite films ever.
Ooh.
So I am much more of a DC girl than I am a Marvel girl. So there's two films that could be on this list, and it is not Wonder Woman. It is what is the full title? I think it's Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, which first of all, beautiful title, amazing. Perfect title for this film. I just love this film so much. This is another film that was literally, it was just made for me. It's starring the love of my life, Margot Robbie.
Congratulations.
Playing one of my favorite characters ever, Harley Quinn. The costumes in this movie are amazing. Like, they're insanely colorful and like, oh my gosh, I just want to own everything Harley Quinn wears in this film. Like, it's so colorful and creative, and it's just like, this is the type of film, if you love it, you really love it. Some people like it, some people hate it, but it's like the whole cast is women. There is not a single male character in this movie that does not suck, which is very fun. Ewan McGregor plays the villain, and oh my gosh, he's so good. He's so good as Black Mask in this. I love him so much. Like you hate him, but you love to hate him. Like, he's just having so much fun. It's fairly gay, not as gay as it could be, but still pretty freaking gay. It makes my heart happy. I love a girl gang movie, and this is essentially what it is. I love the relationship between Harley Quinn and Cassandra Cain. It's very diverse. Like, there's like Black Canary is played by a woman of color. I'm blanking on her name. Smollett.
Journey Smollett.
Yes, Journey Smollett, which I really like her. Renee Montoya is played by a person of color. Cassandra Cain is played by a person of color. So, like, even though it stars Harley Quinn, there's a lot of diversity there. It's directed by Kathy Ann, who is a woman of color. So, like, it's just it was made for me, and I love it. And it's amazing and beautiful. And I'm very sad it didn't do as well at the box office as it could have, because I want to see more of Harley Quinn in these Avengers. And I'm sure we'll still see more of Harley Quinn, because I think James Gunn likes Margot Robbie. But
oh, for sure.
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yes.
Kelsey, you've seen this one. I know you're a Marvel girl, but like, what do you think of this one?
Yes, I am a Marvel girl through and through. This is the one exception. This movie I thoroughly enjoyed. It was definitely one of my options in my genre film list. Yeah, this is just an excellent pick. I was nervous when you preferenced this, was like, I'm more of a DC girl, and I was like, that kind of hurts my soul, but it's okay, I'll let it slide. But when you followed up with this, I was like, okay, Karly's back in. She's okay. She's good. She can hang. It's fine. So yeah, it's a great film. Really good.
Cool. Kerri, any thoughts?
Yeah, this is a really fantastic movie, and I haven't seen it since it came out in theaters, but I'm a little sad about that because I remember it so fondly, and like the cast is just perfect. Like so many actresses that I adore, and I love Ewan McGregor in this role. I think he's fantastic. And just wonderfully directed, like in like such a nice change of pace from like a lot of the other DC movies recently.
Stacy?
Yeah, no, this is a great pick. I think this is such a fun movie. It's so colorful. It's so fun. It's so funny. Margot Robbie, I mean, she's just always a beautiful delight, but in this role especially, it's just one of those perfect marriages, in my opinion, of actor and role, her as Harley Quinn. And anyone who knows me at all really knows my love of Ewan McGregor, of all things Ewan McGregor. And yeah, he was such a surprising, campy, wonderful villain delight in this movie. Yeah, it's another one I'm like Kerri, I don't think I've really seen it since, maybe I've seen it once since theaters, like shortly after, but it's been too long for sure.
Cool. Yeah, guys, that's our draft. Yeah, we did it. What an amazing draft. I'm going to just rattle off all our picks and then we'll get into some honorable mentions because, wow, this is a stacked list, but also some stacked honorable mentions. So here we go. So Kelsey's draft board is Kelly Freeman Craig's The Edge of 17, Penny Marshall's A League of Their Own, Anna Fletcher's Shrek?
Fletcher. No.
No, sorry. Vicky Jensen's Shrek, Anne Fletcher's The Proposal,
Yes.
Mimi Cave's Fresh. Kerri has Nancy Meyers' The Parent Trap, Amy Heckerling's Clueless, Lulu Wang's The Farewell, Ava DuVernay's Selma, and Jennifer Kent's The Babadook. Stacy has Emerald Fennell's Promising Young Woman, Sean Heater's Coda, the Wachowski sisters' The Matrix, Mary Herron's American Psycho, and Olivia Wilde's Booksmart. I have Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird, Val Ferris's Little Miss Sunshine, Anna Boden's Sugar, Chloe Zhao's Nomadland, and Julia DeCarno's Titan. And Karly has Celine Sciamma's Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Catherine Hardwicke's Twilight, Greta Gerwig's Little Women, Emma Seligman's Shiva Baby, and Kathy Yann's Birds of Prey, The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. And we have some honorable mentions, of course. Let's start with some dramas. We'll just go around the horn. Kelsey, do you have any other dramas on your honorable mentions?
This one I had in my dramas, and I'm kind of sad that it wasn't brought up, but it's Hustlers.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I love Hustlers.
That was an incredible movie. That was so good.
So good.
Oh, so good.
Kerri, any honorable mentions for drama?
For drama, I have a couple new ones that we actually saw at Sundance. The Persian Version and 1001.
Cool.
As well as The Fallout, another new movie.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a good
And
movie.
I was very, very close. I was really between this and Selma of bringing up Whale Rider.
Nice. Great pick. Stacy, any other dramas?
Yeah, I have a few. My third pick was We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lynn Ramsey, which is just a fantastic movie. Passing, beautiful. Which was a fairly recent one. I had The Fallout, Women Talking, which I'm really surprised nobody picked.
I didn't think about that one.
Alice Darling, which probably nobody has seen. It's
Anna Kendrick?
Yeah, she's in it. But Mary Nighy is the director. And I mean, none of us picked any by the one woman who has won a directing Oscar. So I had Point Break and Hurt Locker on the bottom of my list. But
yeah, I was going to say, I did want to bring up, Catherine Bigelow, the first woman
Yeah.
to win Best Director. I do have The Hurt Locker on my honorable mentions. That was the one I alluded to that I'm just not a big fan of The Hurt
Yeah.
Locker,
And
but I
Zero
like
Dark
her.
30 she
Zero
did
Dark
as well,
30,
right?
she
Yeah.
directed that as well, and Detroit is also a good film that she directed. That I
Yeah.
like. And
Point
like you
Break
said,
was
Point
the
Break.
only one that I really had any chance of maybe picking, but
Yeah.
she should be
Forgot
talked about.
that she
I
directed
also
Point Break. I freaking
Yeah.
love that movie.
Yeah, I also have on my list another Best Director winner woman, The Power of the Dog from Jane Campion, The Piano from Jane Campion, fairly recent films, The Woman King and After Sun. My favorite Wachowski's film, Bound, and then my favorite Lynn Ramsey film, You Were Never Really Here, which I picked as my Y pick for the draft day A through Z, so I figured I'd spread the wealth there, but that is my favorite of hers. Karly, any honorable mentions for drama?
Yeah, I have a handful. I have Leave No Trace. That's by the director of Winter's Bone as well. So,
Cool.
The Writer, directed by Chloe Zhao. That's
Yeah.
probably my favorite. That's my favorite film by her. She's just really good. You should check. It's like a Western, but kind of not a Western. And yeah. The only documentary I have is 13th by Ava DuVernay, which is my favorite documentary. It's heartbreaking, but it's really interesting.
Yeah.
A more recent one I have is Causeway, which Brian Tyree Henry. He got
first list that I had to narrow down.
Yes. Yeah. It's that's a really great film. I really like that. And my last one is One Night in Miami by Regina King? Yeah. I was obsessed with that film. I really liked it. Like Leslie Odom Jr. is amazing in it. The cast is great. It's really cool.
For sure. All right, comedies. Kelsey, do you have any honorable mentions for comedies?
Oh, I sure do. Okay, so I have Stick It, Jessica Bendinger, the gymnastics movie.
Gymnastics movie?
Yes. That was an iconic movie. That was another one that like came up very last minute in my research. I was like, holy shit, that was directed by a woman. So cool. I love this little like Netflix rom-com, Set It Up, with Glenn Powell and Zoe Deutsch, directed by Claire Scanlon.
I love that one. That's my favorite rom-com. I love it so much. Such a cute one. Oh my god. One of my favorites from childhood, with a young Aaron Taylor Johnson, is Angus Thongs in Perfect Snogging. Directed by Gurinder Chadha. I'm definitely butchering that.
Oh, okay.
She also directed Bend It Like Beckham. New release I saw with Dyl, Cocaine Bear, directed by Elizabeth Banks. And that's all I have.
Cool. Kerri, any comedies?
Yeah, I had Bend It Like Beckham was my next one that wasn't actually mentioned during our draft. And then I had Big from Penny Marshall, Turning Red, Jennifer's Body, Now and Then, and Dumplin'.
Nice. Stacy, any comedies?
I also had Jennifer's Body and Big. My third pick, the one I didn't do because we'd already talked about this director, was Fast Times at Ridgemont High, also by Amy Heckerling. And I had if I had gone total heart pick in comedy, Dylan knows what it is. It's a little British Christmas movie that is people need to see. It's called Nativity. It stars Martin Freeman. It is.
Kerri, have you seen this one?
Yes, we watched this year.
Oh, that's right. We finally got Chad to watch it.
Yeah.
Every year I get like one or two more people to watch this movie.
I watched it in 2021 for you, Stacy.
I just adore it so much. But yeah, it's School of Rock meets, I don't know.
It's British School of Rock where they're putting on a nativity play.
It's so fun. And even if like Cole does, my son Cole, he doesn't like cringe humor. He can't really watch this movie because there's a lot of kind of cringy parts. But he's like, call me in at the end when they do the performance, because the end performance is so fun and fantastic. He's like, yeah, just give me those last 15, 20 minutes of the kid performance and he's good. So I highly recommend Nativity next Christmas. It's been free on YouTube. It's hard to find otherwise, but it's a lot of fun. Nativity with an exclamation point.
Yeah. I had some honorable mentions. One that was kind of like Kerri said, fresh at Sundance. I had a comedy that's fresh on Sundance, Theater Camp, co-directed by Molly Gordon, who is a star of Shiva Baby. I had Nativity on my list, but I was never going to pick it, but I wanted to put on my honorable mentions for you, Stacy. Even though I love that movie, it just wasn't in my top 5. Another one I really liked from a few years ago was Blockers by Kay Cannon. I think it has a lot of good things
I
to
didn't
say
know that
about,
was a female directed movie.
sex positivity and letting kids be kids, but also trusting their maturity. And then the last one, which I almost picked for Chad, hoping to get Chad's vote, but didn't pick because Little Miss Sunshine was still out there. But Billy Madison, directed by Tamara Davis. I was so close to picking Billy Madison, but I was like, you know what? I got to go with Little Miss Sunshine over it for my comedy. It's still on the board. If someone else had taken Little Miss Sunshine, I was totally going to pick Billy Madison, but I digress. Karly, any other comedies?
Yeah, I have 3. First was I also had Set It Up because, like I said, I love that film so much. It's one of my favorite rom-coms. It's very cute. The next one I had was not Stick It, but Whip It with
Bop it, twist it.
but with the now Elliot Page. I love that film, and I love sports films with women, and I love when it's an aggressive sports film with women. It makes it even better.
Nice.
And my last one that I don't think it probably isn't even on anyone's list is But I'm a Cheerleader. Yeah,
I saw that on the list and I was like, I'm gonna leave that for Karly.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
It's
like
really good. It's really
the
good.
queer humor of it. It's just delightful. Like, I love it so much. I didn't pick it, but like I had to put an honorable mention because just the humor of it. It kills me. Like
Natasha Lyonne is in it, right?
Yes. Yeah, the cast is
Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think there's a few people in there that are pretty well known.
Probably.
I think Michelle Williams might even be in that one, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's really funny. I almost put it on my list, and I was like, thought for sure you were gonna take it, and I was gonna let you have it because you love it so much, and then I forgot actually all about it.
But yeah, it's fantastic. If you have not seen it, which I don't think a lot of people have, you should see it. It's great.
Yep. And now moving on to our genre films. Any other genre films, Kelsey? I know you said you had a lot.
Well, one of mine was Birds of Prey. And then obviously I had Eternals, one of my favorite Marvel movies, Chloe Zhao. I was very close to going with that one. But I was just too excited to learn that Fresh was directed by a woman, so I ultimately went with Fresh. And then I also had true to my nature as a Swiftie, the Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix, Miss Americana, directed by Lana Walsh, I believe. That's all I had.
It is an excellent documentary. Taylor Swift, fan or not.
Yeah, All Too Well.
It is a good doc.
All Too Well is technically a short film, right? So
All Too Well is so good.
Wait, is it too late? I didn't know short films counted.
We'll do this again next March, and we'll do
a
specifically what a short film draft.
Short film draft.
Yeah. It's just going to be like 24 Pixar shorts, and then All Too Well. But yeah, we could do that. Kerri, any genre honorable mentions?
Yeah, I had Bodies, a new film with Rachel Senna. She's amazing in it. The Invitation. Hatching, which was a film we saw at Sundance last year, but it's really cool. It's, I think, Finnish or Danish or something like that. I feel bad that I can't remember, but it's really good. And Revenge, which is a French film, I believe.
Nice. Stacy, any honorable mentions for genre
The
pictures?
Invitation, the one at the house, the one with like I didn't know that was. Oh my! I love that movie.
That's so much. Karen Kusama.
I did not know that. That is a fantastic movie. So if you guys said no to The Matrix, I was going to go with Wonder Woman by Patty Jenkins, which I'm really surprised nobody has brought up so far because that's a great movie. Another Catherine Bigelow movie that I had in genre is Strange Days. Very 90s sci-fi techie movie. And then a lot of my dramas and comedies kind of were dual purpose because I had like Jennifer's Body, which is also horror, The Babadook, even American Psycho. A lot of them were pulling dual purpose there that it could have been slid into my genre thing. So I didn't have a ton of genre specific ones.
Yeah, Jennifer's Body was my backup if someone was weird enough to take Titan before me. Jennifer's Body is one of my favorite horror
You're
movies.
lucky I didn't know, okay, that it was directed by a woman, because I might have.
I also had Raw by the same director as Titan on the list. Wonder Woman was on my list. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night is a really cool international horror film that I put on my list. And then the Fear Street trilogy I put on my list as potential. Even though I don't love those movies, I think it's cool that it's like all came out in the same year and it's all directed by women and it's about women and queerness, which is cool. Karly, any other genre films on your list?
Yes, I have 3, and they all are either horror or thrillers. The first one is Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. That's fantastic film. I love that one. Next one, the other film by Jennifer Kent that I almost picked. If I hadn't remembered Twilight, I would have picked The Nightingale, which I would not recommend it if you don't like traumatic things. It's very traumatic and disturbing, but like also kind of heartwarming in a weird way by the end. And it's like kind of about trauma and like different types of trauma, and it's fantastic. I really like that one. Nice. And my last one is the French movie Revenge, which oh my gosh, it's fantastic thriller. I love it so much. It's so violent in all the best ways.
Well, I wanted to thank all you women to join this panel and make it like a historic moment here on the channel, which is really cool. I can't do percentages in my head. 80% women panel, I guess. Is that the math? Am I doing the math right? I don't know. 80, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 80%. took me a sec. But yeah, we put together some really awesome boards and got a lot of representation for different directors. I believe there was only one director crossover, and that was Greta Gerwig. Everything else, we got like a movie per director, which is really cool. We got 24 names on this thing, which is awesome. I guess more than 24 because 2 Wachowskis. So there you go. Really, really awesome. It was such a pleasure to have y'all and to celebrate women's heritage, women's history, women's iconography, women. Yeah. So awesome. So where can they all find you? Karly, your first appearance on draft day. Did you have fun? Would you like to come back again sometime? And is there anywhere you want to plug? Anything you want to plug? Or
I would love to come back sometime, especially if you do a gay one, because if you do a gay one and you don't invite me, then we can't be friends anymore. I'll be very sad.
That might be actually homophobic. So
no, I don't have anything to plug. I'm technically online, but not really. So
gotcha.
It's great to be here. Yeah.
No worries. Kelsey, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me here on a little show on the Dyl Pickle Movie Network called Marvelous Movie Mondays. That's it.
Okay, cool.
That's all I'm going to talk about at this time.
It's okay. Kerri, where can they find you?
So I do a show with my husband Chad and with Hunter Chambliss called Welcome to Primetime on Hunter's Nerd Entertainment Network channel on YouTube, and we talk each week about like a different topic in horror. So this past week, in honor of Scream 6 coming out, we ranked all of these Scream killers. That is not spoiler free though, so if you haven't seen the new Scream,
and at number 2 we have Ghostface 4. That'd be an interesting task though, to try to rank them without spoiling them. That's pretty cool. I hope
an impossible task.
I hope you had. I don't want to say spoilers, but I hope you had a specific duo at number 1. I don't know.
At number, we split them up by individuals, and
okay.
We had the original killers at 1 and 2.
Cool. Yeah, love that. Thank you as always, and congratulations, Kerri. Big stuff coming in your life. That's awesome. Stacy, where can they find you?
Well, you can sometimes find me here. On occasion, you can sometimes find me in my alter ego playing some trivia, MCU trivia around here somewhere. I sometimes pop up judging Movie Battleground. I sometimes pop up on Rankum. I believe they're both. I always forget the damn names. I'm horrible.
TMG. No. Take 3.
Full Metal. I don't know. They're probably 2 different places.
Yeah.
You can look up Rankum. That will work. Or Movie Battleground. And I do a podcast with a film school friend of mine where we just talk about TV and movies and recent stuff, but also dive into some older stuff and then just digress into whatever shenanigans we get into. And you can listen to that wherever you listen to podcasts, I guess. And that's called
And the name of it is
Between the Screens.
There you go. Yeah, it's great. I love listening to it. And that's now on more platforms, which is so exciting because the original app kept crashing for me, but I'm so excited to listen to more. And thank you all for watching. Anyone watching, thank you for chatting along. This is being premiered the next day. And thank you for listening if you're listening on the Dyl Pickle podcast, because now these are available on podcast form as well. So if you just want to hear us, but I don't know why you'd want to just hear us. Look at us too. Why not? We had fun smiling for y'all all day. But this was really fun, really awesome. Movies brought up that I don't know if a lot of these get brought up in other drafts just because they are so general, but I really do love the board we put together, and y'all can vote right now as at the time you're watching this. You can vote on Facebook, and I also have like a little poll on Twitter, or you can just comment on this video who you thought should have won. You can vote for a winner. They are always anonymous, so it's draft 1, draft 2, draft 3, draft 4, draft 5. And yeah, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next month with another fun draft. Until then, see ya.